Hello and welcome inside highpoint.com Stadium here on the banks of the Raritan in Piscataway, New Jersey for WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. I'm Jeremy Parks alongside Nate Sorensen here on a brisk Saturday afternoon under these bright New Jersey skies. Today's matchup, the number 4 ranked Michigan Wolverines marching in at 8-1 overall, 6-0 in Big Ten play, going up against the Rutgers Scarlett Knights, 1-8 overall, 0-6 in the Big Ten. Nate, this is a game that Michigan was favored to win on the scoreline heading in by 40.5 according to Vegas. What can Michigan do to make sure that they cover, and what can Rutgers do to make sure that they try and break into that spread?
Well, I'm going to start with what Rutgers can do, and I would say absolutely nothing. Maybe pray that someone gets injured. I don't know other than that. This Michigan team is just too good. This Rutgers defense maybe isn't quite as bad as it has been in years past, but that's mostly due to their secondary. Their run defense is still quite porous, and as excellent as Michigan is as running the ball, as deep as they are at the running back position, I would imagine they're going to be able to run all over Rutgers to an easy 40-point victory.
The stadium here at highpoint.com, not nearly full. I would venture to guess about half full here, just a moment away from kickoff. The student section on the south side of the stadium to our right, almost empty. Rutgers fans walking into the stadium today, equally not looking forward to this one. We were asked by the Rutgers student radio whether or not we thought it would be as bad as they were saying, and we will find out here in due time. Rutgers has won the coin toss. They have elected to kick, and they will defer to the second half. Michigan is elected to defend the south end zone first, moving from right to left across our screen here. Your game time temperature, as we said, it is brisk. The air temperature 43 degrees, however, the winds are blustering. Right now at 18 miles an hour out of the northwest, those gusts are expected to get above 30 miles an hour during the game. That air temperature feeling well below 40, somewhere around 30 to 35 here in Piscataway.
You would think the wind's going to be a big factor in this one here today. Wind is absolutely just shaking these goalposts here. It's going to be tough to throw the ball with these conditions, as cold as it is as well. Hands are not going to be, it's going to be tough. The ball's going to be bouncing off a lot of hands here tonight, I'd imagine.
Interesting that Rutgers has deferred to the second half, preferring to play defense first against this Michigan offense. Presumably we will see the starters at least for a while here this afternoon. Oh, and no, Michigan is kicking. Misheard on the referee mic.
Yeah, I don't hate that decision from Rutgers, taking the ball first, trying to get points up on the board, because if you get down against this Michigan team, it's very tough to come back, even if the deficit's only one score. More
what I would have expected. The referee did misspeak on the mic here in the stadium. He did say that it was a Rutgers win and a defer. Not sure what the actual result was, but either way, it will be Michigan kicking off instead, as they are lined up for the kick. Ball has to be held at the 35. It will not stay on the tee itself with these winds. Jake Moody back for the kick. He puts a leg through it, and we are underway here in Piscataway. Ball is gathered in off the kick at the 10-yard line for Rutgers, breaking open across the middle and across the 20 out to the 25-yard line for the Scarlet Knights was Avery Young on the return. And Rutgers will set up at their own 25 with their first offensive drive of the day, led under center by quarterback Arthur Sitkowski.
Very curious to see how Rutgers comes out here today. The strength of this offensive attack for them is clearly their running game. Raheem Blackshear, more of a shifty back, a bit like Chris Evans. He can do a lot of good things.
Moving left to right on first down, play action as Sitkowski moves back over to his right, swings it out over to the right-hand side across the 25, and met there at the 27 and pushed backwards is Blackshear for a gain of about 2 on first down through the screen.
You got to love that right there. Chase Winovich coming all the way over from the defensive line, putting a pretty nice lick on him there. That's the type of hustle you love to see out of guys.
It'll be 2nd down and 7 from the 28. As Sitkowski lines up under center. And a pitch play over to the left on 2nd down, and there's a lot of space on that left-hand side, and across the 40 and the 45, out near midfield is Raheem Blackshear. Quite a run there on 2nd down for the Scarlet Knights. And 2 years ago here in Piscataway, it took Rutgers the better part of 3/4 of the game to get a 1st down. And here on their 2nd attempt of the game, they get big yardage and a 1st down out to their own 49.
And no one on that Michigan defense was out there to set the edge. Blackshear's got great speed. He can make things happen in open space, just cannot allow that to happen.
And that was Isaiah Pacheco actually on the run there. Pacheco takes it on 1st down, falls across midfield for a gain of 1. Isaiah Pacheco, the backup running back here for the Scarlet Knights. They featured 3 backs throughout the game. Raheem Blackshear has received the lion's share of the carries throughout the season. Jonathan Hilleman also receiving touches as well.
Pacheco and Blackshear have similar games. They're both good open space backs. Hillman will come in and get those short yardage touches down on the goal line and maybe on a 3rd and short.
2nd and 8 in Michigan territory at the Michigan 49. Sitkowski drops back. He's under pressure from Rashawn Gary and Kalik Hudson. He gets the pass incomplete, looking for a short dump off back near the line of scrimmage. Incomplete, and it'll be 3rd down.
That looks like a design screen right there. Michigan sent the blitz. Sitkowski was ready for it, just dropped back and had Blackshear wide open and put it right where he could catch it. Blackshear's just got to reel that one in, and he had a lot of green space in front of him if he caught that one.
Again, it was Rashawn Gary and Kalik Hudson on the pressure, forcing the incompletion. 3rd down and 8 now here with 13:04 remaining in the 1st quarter. We are scoreless in Piscataway. Sitkowski takes the snap out of the gun. He's dropping back, and again, a similar play to the last one, a design screen dump off. And that time he does hit Blackshear, but it's for a loss of 2 as they are back into their own territory across the 50, down at the Rutgers 49, and it'll bring up 4th down.
Rutgers heavily relying on the screen has been a theme this year. The wide receivers are not great. Sitkowski is not comfortable throwing the ball downfield, and they got a little bit too reliant on it right there. That's going with 2 running back screens back to back is really a head-scratching choice.
And that'll bring up the punt. Adam Korsak, the Aussie out of Melbourne, with the rugby-style kick as Donovan Peoples-Jones waves it off. Very nearly took a Rutgers bounce, but it does squirt into the end zone, bouncing at the 4-yard line and then across the goal line. It'll be Michigan ball with 1st and 10 on their first offensive drive of the day.
Now, Rutgers certainly had a good chance to down that one inside the 5 there, but Donovan Peoples-Jones pulling out the classic trick, running up to around the 10-yard line, looking like he's about to field the ball while it sails right over his head. It certainly took Rutgers by surprise here. You'd think they'll catch on to that one, though.
So a 1st down for the Scarlet Knights and nothing more on the first drive, as now Michigan will have their first attempt of the afternoon, starting from their own 20. As Shea Patterson steps out for the Wolverines, he'll start in the shotgun with Karan Higdon to his right. Tariq Black lining up on the first play over to the left-hand side, and it's a handoff to Higdon as he busts up the middle, and he's got a little bit of space squirting near the 1st down marker. A gain of 9 on 1st down. Tackle made by Isaiah Wharton. It is a gain of 9, 2nd and 1 now here.
Nice and easy there for the Wolverines, running right behind the big guys on the right. Bushel Beatty, Mike Owenu. They're just absolutely dominant in the running game. Going to expect to see Michigan run behind them a whole lot here today.
2nd and 1. Handoff again to Higdon as he tries to bust out to the left-hand side. He's got some blocks. He's across the 1st down line to gain, across the 35 and out near the 40. Tackle made by Saquon Hampton. That'll be a pickup of 9 again on 2nd down, so 2 9-yard carries for Karan Higdon to open the afternoon, 1 inside, 1 out.
And a bad sign here for Rutgers that both of those plays were made by guys in the secondary. That's where Rutgers is strongest, but you don't want to see safeties coming up making plays on running backs all that often.
1st and 10 from the Michigan 38. Patterson fakes the handoff out of the gun. He's circling over to his right, looking for a pass out near the 1st down marker. Was targeting Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he did make the catch just above the turf. right near the first down line again, and another gain of 9. And the tackle again made by Saquon Hampton. 9-9-9, just like Herman Cain's plan for Michigan to open up the game here.
An absolutely excellent catch there by Donovan Peoples-Jones. That ball was low, about down near his knees. He had to keep both feet, well, at least 1 foot in bounds. He's able to reach down, snag that one with a guy right on his back. That's a heck of a play right there.
And again, it's 2nd and 1 with Patterson in the gun. Fakes the handoff, dropping back, looking over towards the left-hand side. He's going to take a shot over the middle, targeting Peoples-Jones, and that one is overthrown. Isaiah Wharton in coverage on DPJ, and that one falls incomplete, 3rd and 1.
And now I think the sun played a factor on that one. Right where that route ended for DPJ, he just started coming into the sun. The sun was probably right in his eyes, and he switched from the shade to the sun there. He stopped kind of running at full speed. If he just kept running, he probably would have had the ball right in his arms. I don't think he ever saw it, though.
3rd and 1. Patterson lines up under center. He's got Higdon in the backfield. Gives the handoff, looking right up the middle, pushing across the first down marker for a gain of 2 is Karan Higdon as he takes his 3rd carry of the game, and Michigan's drive stays alive.
Here comes a sight Michigan fans like to see. Ben Mason joining the huddle right now, and Karan Higdon coming out.
Worthy of note for Karan Higdon, with 37 yards in this game, he would break 1,000 net yards on the season for the Wolverines. He's also had 7 straight games with 100 yards rushing, a record that ties Mike Hart's record from earlier in the 2000s. And on first down, the handoff goes to the right, actually in motion, sweeping was Oliver Martin as he breaks out around the right-hand side. And another first down for Michigan with a gain of 11 on the play as they are well into Rutgers territory, down to the Scarlet Knight 40.
That was nearly a disastrous play. It looked like he nearly got brought down in the backfield there, was able to break a tackle and get pretty nice yardage out of that one, though.
Fresh set of downs with 10:04 and ticking remaining here in the first quarter. We are scoreless, Rutgers and Michigan. Patterson takes the snap, hands off to Chris Evans. First carry of the game for Evans as he falls forward for about 2 across the 40-yard line down to the 38.
Morris with the tackle.
Tackle on that play by the linebacker Trevor Morris.
2nd and 8 from the 38.
Michigan goes back to the huddle. It'll be 2nd and 8 here as the wind continuing to blow. Some fans still filing into the stadium, but it is still far, far, far from full here at highpoint.com. Empty backfield for Patterson here on 2nd down as he makes a quick screen pass over to Evans, who is split out wide to the right. He gets a couple of tackles and he scoots across the 30-yard line, breaking and busting a few guys to his left and right, down to the Rutgers 27-yard line. And that'll be a gain of 11 on 2nd down for Michigan. 1st and 10, almost in Rutgers red zone.
That was an interesting formation there by the Wolverines. They had 4 wide receivers out to the right originally. Peoples-Jones motioned over to the left, leaving only the trips. But you don't normally see Michigan go with 5 receivers all that often.
Heavy set for Michigan on first down. The handoff is given to Chris Evans as he's trying to break to the left-hand side. A whole host of Scarlet Knights are right on his tail, though. And a good shutdown for Rutgers, limiting the gain for Evans on first down to about 1. The tackle made by Avery Young, just shy of the 25-yard line.
2nd and 7 from the 24.
Excellent play there by the Rutgers defense. There's absolutely no hole in the middle, and Chris Evans just kept trying to stretch out that play, trying to find an edge to turn up the field, and Rutgers just did not allow it. Great work there by the defensive front.
Patterson has True Wilson to his left in the shotgun here on 2nd down as he takes the snap. No play action, just looks to throw, and he's got an open Zach Gentry near the first down. He's across the 20-yard line into the red zone, down to the Rutgers 19-yard line. And that's a gain of about 6 on 2nd down, and that'll bring up 3rd and 2. As Michigan brings to the huddle, Rutgers trying to stop the Wolverines and hold them to a field goal attempt here on their first defensive drive of the game. Michigan trying to put up points early, the 40.5-point favorites coming into this afternoon. It's Patterson in the gun. He brings Sean McCune in motion. Higdon is behind Patterson. The give is to Higdon as he is close. I think he got the first down there. Perhaps a hair short. It'll depend on where they spot him in the pile. And they do spot him just a half-yard short. It's going to be 4th down for Michigan and an early decision for Jim Harbaugh, and it looks like he'll keep the offense on the field, and he'll go for it on 4th and 1.
Interesting, it looks like they're going with a bigger set with a lot of tight ends, but no fullback.
No Ben Mason. Karan Higdon is alone in the backfield. All tight ends in on this play. Patterson is under center. Michigan needs a half-yard. They give to Higdon. Breaks, and I think he got brought down behind the line there, and indeed he did. A 4th down stop for Rutgers. Tackle made by Avery Young, who broke through the left-hand side unabated and stops Michigan's first drive in its tracks.
That's just inexcusable for this Michigan offensive front. There were 3 tight ends on that side of the line.
And not somehow Avery Young still breaking through there to stop the drive.
Avery Young is a 6-foot, 193-pound corner. To be able to break in right where Michigan had all of their lead blockers, that just can't happen.
Michigan stopped on 4th down on the opening drive. No points for either team on their first drives, as Rutgers will take over at their own 18. With 6:40 remaining here in the first quarter, we are scoreless in Piscataway. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football on the Michigan Student Radio Network. Michigan moved the ball well on that first drive. They picked up 62 total yards of offense, but nothing to show for it, as Jim Harbaugh shows he wasn't playing around early. And rising to the call are Chris Ash and his Scarlett Knights. Ash in his 3rd season here at Rutgers, coming by way of Ohio State. In his 3rd season, 7-26 overall. And this a rough year for him so far. As we mentioned coming into the broadcast, Rutgers just 1-8, their lone win coming against Texas State.
It's been a tough year for Rutgers, but it does appear that they're moving in the right direction. Maybe. Of course, they're only 1-8. They took a bad loss to Kansas. Kansas, a team that's historically struggled. They've only had 3 wins this year themselves. They fired their own head coach. Those are the types of games, if you're a program that's struggling, you want to win, that's kind of an indicator that you're on the right path. But there are just certain things when you watch this team, they look a lot better than they did 2 years ago when Michigan put on that historic beatdown of 78-0. The secondary looks good. Guys like Saquon Hampton, Damon Hayes, they look real good out on a football field, and that's kind of Chris Ash's specialty. He was known for bolstering that Ohio State defensive secondary during his time as their coordinator. Those are the types of things you want to see out of a coach. They're incremental improvement, but this Rutgers team still has a long way to go.
About ready to come out of the media timeout here, with Rutgers set to take over on their 2nd offensive drive of the game. Their first drive, they got a first down, something that, as we said, took them the better part of the game last time Michigan was here in New Jersey. A first down on their first drive and a little confidence booster. They were stopped near midfield by this Michigan defense. They did pick up 26 yards, the majority of which came on an Isaiah Pacheco run out to the left-hand side. So total yards again after the first drive for each team, 62 yards for Michigan, 26 for Rutgers. Sitkowski has attempted 3 passes. He only completed 1, a short shovel screen for 3. As the Michigan defense comes out, Noah Furbush lining up at linebacker for the Wolverines here to open up, and no Josh Metellus. He was absent on the first drive, absent here. And on first down, Rutgers gives the handoff out to the right-hand side. And Isaiah Pacheco is knocked down at the 18 or 19-yard line, of gain of maybe 1, maybe nothing. Tackle made there by Tyree Cannell.
Interesting that Pacheco's getting most of the touches here early on. Would really consider him the 3rd back for Rutgers. That one long run he was able to manage there, probably giving him a little bit more opportunity going forward in this game.
Pacheco checks out. Raheem Blackshear back in the game at tailback as Sitkowski lines up in the gun. He takes the snap. He's looking left, right, over the middle, and misses an open receiver. He had Shameen Jones over the middle, looking for a short completion, but he threw it a little too far in front of him. And that'll bring up third down very quickly here, 3rd and 9.
There was pressure coming. Devin Bush on a delayed blitz there, came off that left side of the line, was able to find a crack there and put Sitkowski down on the ground. Interesting to see Michigan come be aggressive with the blitz. I would expect them to be a little bit more conservative against a team like Rutgers.
Don Brown brings 6 in the box here on 3rd and 9. As Sitkowski has dual backs to his left and right in the gun. And it's a quick screen out to Blackshear, trying to bounce around that left-hand side, but Michigan stops him up at the 20-yard line and knocked backwards. The big play made there by Brandon Watson on the edge. And he is stopped for a gain of 2. It'll be 4th and 7. And a 3 and out for Rutgers will bring out the punting unit and Korsak.
Jones deep.
Taking almost no time off the clock there as well on the drive. As we've got 5:28 and ticking. Korsak has the sun in his eyes right now. Sunset is set for about 4:45 local time, which is just a little over half an hour away, as he blocks the sun, gets the rugby-style kickoff here, and waving for fair catch at the Michigan 41-yard line is Donovan Peoples-Jones. That's where they will take over again, looking for more success on their second drive of the game after going for it on 4th and 1 inside the Rutgers red zone and failing to convert on their opening drive of the game. We are scoreless here in the first quarter at highpoint.com Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football and the Michigan Student Football Radio Network. Jeremy Parks alongside Nate Sorensen. And a more Michigan-esque defensive possession there. Don Brown limiting the yardage to 3 yards there on that drive.
Absolutely, and that's what I expected out of this Michigan defense for the entirety of this game. This Rutgers team they have a hard time really doing anything down the field. Everything, if they're passing it, they're dinking and dunking down the field, they're throwing screen passes, or they're running the ball. I imagine Michigan would be able to contain them knowing how one-dimensional this offense is.
As always, a big thanks to those of you tuning in, both in Ann Arbor, around Michigan, and around the country. Even around the world, we're always tracking on our live comments here on YouTube, as well as on Twitter at WCBN Sports. Feel free to like and subscribe on YouTube. Shoot us a follow on Twitter. You'll get updates on all your Michigan athletics broadcasts, both in Ann Arbor and as we are out here in New Jersey on the East Coast today. And a shout out to an Andrew Adams commenting in from South Korea, Seoul, South Korea, where it is currently 5:30 a.m. We appreciate you tuning in bright and early over in Korea. Fans coming in from all over the place now.
That's dedication right there. Waking up at 5:30 in the morning to watch the Michigan Wolverines take on Rutgers. That's a true fan right there.
Indeed. Indeed. As always, we are also continually commercial-free, nonprofit student radio, the way to go for all your Michigan athletics coverage. But these media timeouts are quite killer. As the teams are lined up, but play is going to be held up by those commercials on your TVs at home.
Man in the red hat slowly backing up to the sideline.
Shea Patterson is going to line up in the shotgun here on first down as they finally do get set, ready to get back underway. He's got True Wilson lined up to his left. They bring Sean McCune in motion out to the right, 2 receivers left, and the handoff to True Wilson on first down. He's got some room. He's across the 50, across the 45, and brought down at the Rutgers 43-yard line. And that is a big gain on the first play of the drive for Michigan. And a fresh set of downs. The tackle made by, again, Isaiah Wharton. He's been all over the field today.
Interesting to see Michigan. Their running back rotation so far is pretty interesting here. Karan Higdon got a lot of touches there at the beginning of that drive, but then they kind of switched it over to Chris Evans, and now it's looking like True Wilson's getting most of the carries. That's
15 yards for True Wilson as he receives the handoff on second down. No, he doesn't. It's a reverse. Coming back across the left-hand side is Ronnie Bell, And a gain of a few yards here for Michigan on first down, brought down by Saquon Hampton. They read that reverse pretty well. Initially a handoff to Drew Wilson, and then he made the dump off back the other way. It'll be a gain of 2, 2nd and 8, as we tick 4:14 remaining here in the first quarter. Michigan down to the Rutgers 42-yard line.
I was a bit surprised there after the wide receiver reverse to not see him throw the ball. It seems like every time wide receiver gets the ball in the backfield now, they're throwing it back over to the quarterback.
Chris Evans checks in the game at tailback. He's to the right of Patterson. 2 tight ends in for Michigan. It's a throw on first down over the middle to a wide open Jack Gentry across the 30-yard line down to the 27. And again, a big pickup for Michigan on second down. The tackle made there by Avery Young and Damon Hayes. A nice slant route over the middle for the big tight end, Zach Gentry, the former quarterback converted to tight end. He's got a lot of size on him, and he picks up 16 yards on second down. 1st and 10 for Michigan from the Rutgers 26. 3 wide receivers out to the left. Tariq Black, the lone receiver, to the right. Empty backfield, Patterson takes the snap. Looking to throw, he gets it out over to Chris Evans, who was split out wide, and he crosses the 15 and down close to the 10. It's going to be another big pickup for Michigan. Tackle made there by Tariq Maddox-Williams over on the left sideline. 1st and 10 for Michigan. And again, a big pickup as they are now down to the Rutgers 12-yard line.
Michigan's offensive production right now about the exact opposite of Wisconsin's last week. That was Rutgers' opponent. Wisconsin had over 300 yards rushing. They were barely able to muster over 150 yards passing.
2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. As Patterson comes out of the gun, he gives a handoff to Chris Evans. Evans working the right-hand side, tries to bounce, and he's brought up in the backfield, breaks the initial contact, moving towards the sideline, and he will get out of bounds at the Rutgers 8-yard line. A pickup of 3 on first down for Chris Evans.
This is about exactly the opposite of what I expected from this Rutgers defense. They've looked absolutely stellar in the run game, but the passing has been absolutely porous. It's really strange to see.
It'll be 2nd and 6 from the 7-yard line is where they spot it. As Patterson takes the snap, he gives the handoff to Higdon. Higdon plowing forward across the 5 and down to about the 3-yard line. And for the 3rd play in a row, the tackle made by Tariq Maddox-Williams. And that'll bring up 3rd and 2. If Michigan can pick up 2 but fail to get the touchdown, they'll have a fresh set of downs, but more than likely treating this as though it's a 3rd and goal situation from the 3.
Now it seems like it's this time where Shea Patterson surprises the opposing defense and keeps it himself. He fakes the handoff, runs for it to the pylon. I would expect that right here.
Ben Mason checks in at fullback. He is the only back behind Patterson, and he gets the handoff. Moving towards the goal line. Did he get across? And they will mark him down at the half-yard line, maybe the inch line. And that is a first down for Michigan. They pick up a little more than 2 yards. It was 3rd and 2, and it'll be 1st and goal from about a note card away from the goal line.
Yeah, who needs to run outside when you got a guy like Ben Mason? He can just run it his way right over the defense.
Michigan makes a couple substitutions as they come into the huddle. Under a minute now and ticking here in the first quarter. They're going to line up in the I. Ben Mason at fullback, Karan Higdon in at tailback. Heavy set. 1st and goal for the Wolverines. Patterson gives the handoff to Higdon, and he is in through the right side. Touchdown, Michigan. Karan Higdon punches it in from a half-yard out, his first touchdown of the game, and Michigan puts 6 up on the board on their 2nd attempt of the afternoon.
There again, Ben Mason stays on the field in the fullback position, was the lead blocker for that one. Karan Higdon easily able to just follow him right in there across the goal line.
The 8th touchdown of the year for Karan Higdon on the ground, as Quinn Nordine will line up for the extra point. That wind is still blowing very heavy as he shanks the kick, but it still gets over the crossbar. A really poor contact there with the foot of Quinn Nordine, and a line drive that maybe snuck about 5 feet over the bottom tee of the field goal post. Nonetheless, the kick is good. 7-0 Michigan. with 45 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. From highpoint.com Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey, you're listening to WCBN sports coverage of Michigan football and the Michigan Student Football Radio Network.
That looked very reminiscent of Quinn Nordine's first field goal attempt against the Michigan State Spartans a few weeks ago, where he simply just did not get all of that kick. That very strange to see on a, I know the wind's a problem here, but on an extra point like that, I would imagine the field conditions are just fine. Really, there's not a single bit of moisture here. Can't really blame that one on slipping.
Yeah, we did have quite the slick drive out from Ann Arbor yesterday. In total, with stops, it took us about 11 and a half hours to get from Ann Arbor out to Newark, which is where we're staying here for the weekend. A combination of snow over back towards the Mitten and through Ohio, and then nothing but downpouring rain through Pennsylvania and New Jersey. However, today, clean as a whistle. The sun is shining for just a little bit longer here in the afternoon. The sun is slated to set here in just about 20 minutes. The lights are already on here in the stadium, as we are near the end of the first quarter. Again, Michigan leading 7-0 off a half-yard punch-in from Karan Higdon.
Speaking of the sun there, it definitely looked like it was a bit of a factor there on that one long pass from Shea Patterson to Donovan Peoples-Jones, and then maybe even on Rutgers' one punt there. Like it was in the eyes of the punter. It shouldn't be a factor here anymore. The sun's only in the eyes of fans right now. Unfortunately for them, but fortunate for these two football teams.
From football, PNC Bank is proud to partner with Rutgers Athletics, where students experience high levels of achievement.
Jake Moody set to take the kickoff for the Wolverines, as they are back out from the huddles now, near the end of the TV timeout. As Moody puts it down on the tee.
1,000 victory Tuesday night, 7 o'clock at the Rack. Buy tickets now for just $5 at RutgersGameDay.com or by calling 866.
Again, the ball needing to be held on the tee here over at the 35-yard line. As the wind continuing to bluster, we are well over 20 miles an hour here with wind coming out of the northwest. Moody has the ball down, gets the kick up, and it is right near the goal line where it's collected in there by Avery Young as he crosses the 20-yard line and maybe out to the 21. They will leave it just at the 20. That's where Rutgers will start the drive after a 3-and-out on their last attempt, with 39 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
On this drive, gotta wonder what Rutgers is going to do there. It looked like they had some success, or had possible success in the short yardage passing game there in that first drive, and then they tried to come right out and use that there in that second drive, and it just could not get anything going for them. Michigan was kind of sitting on that. Wonder if maybe they're going to try to fake a screen, try to get something going more downfield passing-wise. At this point, they're only down 7-0, but you know, things can get out of hand pretty quickly. Could really use some points here on this drive.
Would be a potentially big answer drive for the Scarlet Knights trying to stick in the game. We'll see what Chris Ash brings up with them in the huddle. Offensive coordinator for the Scarlet Knights, John McNulty, in there as well. The one big play of the game for Rutgers was a bust run to the outside for Pacheco. Other than that, they have been pretty much quelled by this Don Brown-led defense. Military Appreciation Day here at Rutgers as well. As always, we give a big shout out and a big thanks to all of our veterans tuning in with us. And for those not tuning in, fighting for the freedom so that we can be here to call some football and watch.
Absolutely.
ESPN College Game Day did a nice story this morning on a Division II player who was previously in the Marine Corps doing the body bearing at Arlington National Cemetery just outside DC.
That one was a tearjerker.
Several veterans in the collegiate ranks, a few at the D1 level and plenty more at Division II and III. As both teams come out of the huddles on the sidelines and almost ready to get underway here again. 39 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Isaiah Pacheco will be the tailback in the backfield for Rutgers. They've got split receivers, one out to the right, one out to the left. As Sitkowski, offset eye, gives the handoff on first down, and a huge hole up the middle for Pacheco, and he's across the 35 and the 40. He's got plenty of space. Nobody's going to catch him. Across the 20, across the 10, across the 5, and into the end zone. Touchdown, Rutgers. Isaiah Pacheco goes 80 yards to the house. And don't look now, but the Scarlett Knights are right back in this one. A massive hole up the middle. For those of you that can't see on the television at home, you could have driven a semi-truck through it. The Rutgers offensive line parting the sea, and they go 80 yards in one play to even this one up, pending the extra point. Justin Davidovitz in for the extra point attempt. Snap, good hold. The kick is up, and it is good. And we've got a tie ball game here in Piscataway, 7-7.
You were wondering what John McNulty was cooking up there for the Rutgers offense. Well, he came right out with a doozy of a play. Rutgers shows pre-snap there. They're in a kind of a full house formation, two fullbacks in offset eye positions with the tailback. And they bring out one of the fullbacks in motion across over to the left, and then fake it to him on the end around. Looked like all of Michigan's defense was kind of expecting maybe it was going to be an end around there, and it left that middle wide open.
If I'm not mistaken, that is the biggest play given up by Don Brown's defense this year. 80 yards, the final tally there for Pacheco. And with 26 seconds remaining in the first quarter, we've got a tie ball game, 7-7, between the Rutgers Scarlett Knights and the Michigan Wolverines here on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Football Radio Network.
It's surprising to see Michigan get that caught off guard by a player going off in motion and then coming back in kind of a zipper style there, because they've already faced Maryland this year. Maryland ran that nearly every snap, and they were able to manage that Maryland Terps offense quite beautifully. Right? Rutgers kind of took a play out of their playbook, it looked like, right there, and were able to catch Michigan on their heels. Absolutely staggering to see.
The Rutgers fans are alive now here at highpoint.com Stadium as they are roaring RU. The kickoff to get restarted is collected by Ambry Thomas just shy of the goal line as he crosses the 20 and the 25. He's gone all the way left to right across the field. He breaks across the 30 and out near the 35. He got about 35 on the return. He probably ran a total of 60 yards to get that 35, but good starting field position for Michigan. After a big defensive miscue, evens the game between Rutgers and U of M. 16 seconds remaining here in the first quarter as Michigan will go to the offensive huddle.
Well, we've seen so far that this Michigan offense isn't necessarily running all over Rutgers. This Rutgers defense has put on a pretty good performance here for this first quarter. If they manage to come up with a stop right here, this stadium would be absolutely electric.
And on first down, Patterson play action as he's looking for a long ball down the left-hand side, targeting Peoples-Jones, in and out of his hands at the 20-yard line. He had it and he dropped it. It was a bit underthrown, but Peoples-Jones would have been open on the turnaround back towards the ball. And Michigan takes a big chance on first down and a miss.
That's tough there because it looked like Nico Collins was running a post across the center of the field there. He had a half a step on his man. If Shea Patterson looks his way, it might have been a different outcome there, but he was staring, looking for Donovan Peoples-Jones the whole way there. He had a bit of a tougher play for sure.
Patterson out of the gun on second down as he gives to True Wilson, who busts across the 35, out across the 40, and gets about 6 yards there on second down. And it'll be 3rd and 4 for Michigan, and that is the last play of the first quarter. Not what you thought you would hear at the end of the first here in Piscataway. It's a 7-7 ball game between the Scarlett Knights and the Wolverines here on WCBN Sports, the Michigan Student Football Radio Network.
Please stand and direct your attention to the area behind the north end zone. 70 future sailors and soldiers from the local area are about
Not what we thought we were going to see, Nate.
Absolutely not. And should be noted, during that first quarter, Rutgers was playing with the wind in their face. That wind is definitely a factor here. Playing with that now at their back, pretty interesting that Michigan was not able to take advantage of that at all here.
State your full name.
Rutgers, meanwhile, here looks like they are having a ceremony with their ROTC cadets as they take the oath of servicemen and women here behind the north end zone, it looks like. A combination of Army and Navy ROTC recruits.
Thou bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And that I obey the orders of the President of the United States.
And I mentioned last week their performance against the Wisconsin Badgers. That was a 31-17 loss in Madison, but Wisconsin was able to run all over Rutgers, over 300 yards. Jonathan Taylor had over 200 himself and 3 touchdowns. That's what I expected to Michigan come out here and replicate, with Karan Higdon putting up similar numbers to Jonathan Taylor. So far, Higdon's not really gotten most of the touches. It's been, or maybe not as heavy of a share as the touches. He has still had 8 carries, 28 yards, and a touchdown here, but we've seen a lot of True Wilson. We've seen Chris Evans. We've seen Oliver Martin and Ronnie Bell get it on end arounds. I would expect maybe Michigan was a little bit overconfident, thinking they could work in pretty much anyone on the offense and do whatever they wanted here against Rutgers. Well, maybe they're going to have to call on their star player, Karan Higdon, to get something going here.
As we open the second quarter with a fresh 15, it's a tie ball game, 7-7. Michigan has the ball on their own 41-yard line with 3rd and 4. Patterson is going to be alone in the shotgun. He's got 3 receivers to the left, 2 to the right, bunched in close. Rutgers showing a bit of a blitz here package in the box. They are only going to rush 3, though, as Patterson's got time. He steps back. He's looking left, looking right, moving around towards the left-hand side, scooting and dumps a pass over to Donovan Peoples-Jones across midfield. Breaks out of a couple of tackles, not sure where he went, and ultimately goes backwards. He initially had the ball near the Rutgers 45, came back across midfield, and wound up losing about 7 yards trying to get too much. Tackle made by Damon Hayes.
I could see what Donovan Peoples-Jones was thinking there. I believe that was Avery Young came down trying to really put the hit stick on him. He was able to bounce right off it, thinking he could catch this Rutgers defense by surprise running across the field there, but that is just a tough loss of yards right there.
Got 7, would have had about 15 had he kept it. And on first down, the handoff is to Chris Evans, who goes through a small hole on the right-hand side, crosses midfield, and is down to the Rutgers 48-yard line. Gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Wholesale substitutions here for Michigan as they switch out the tight ends. A couple of receiver switches as well. 2nd and 6 from the Rutgers 48. Split receivers out wide to the left and right. 2 tailbacks, 1 to the left and 1 to the right of Patterson, who's in the gun. The tight end is Gentry, dropping back, looking to throw, targeting Oliver Martin near the first down sticks. It is a completion at about the 43-yard line, mark it at the 41 actually, and that will be a first down for Michigan as the sticks will move.
Yeah, interesting. I truly thought that Michigan would come out, put the offense in the hands of Karan Higdon. Well, Jim Harbaugh is saying right now, Shea Patterson, take us down the field, show us what you can do, and he's looking calm and collected, marching this Michigan offense right down the field.
A nice cutback route for Oliver Martin results in a first down after a gain of 7. 1st and 10 from the Rutgers 41. Patterson takes the snap, looking out over towards the left. He's got Ronnie Bell. Ronnie Bell has some space with 1 man to beat as he goes across the 30-yard line and brought down near the 29 of Rutgers. It'll be a first down after a gain of 11 on 1st and 10. Tackle made out in space by Saquon Hampton, who has really been a star for this Rutgers defense, had 2 individual interceptions in their game against Wisconsin last week, a game that they lost 31-17, but a good performance from Hampton, who's had a few tackles to his name so far today. 12:36 and ticking here in the second quarter. It's 1st and 10 Michigan from the Rutgers 29. Patterson is under center. He's got Higdon in the backfield. Fakes the handoff. Looking over towards the left-hand side, going for the end zone, looking for Oliver Martin. Just batted away at the last moment. It looked like Avery Young got a hand to it as it was sailing towards the back line of the end zone. It was a well-thrown ball from Patterson, but excellent coverage there by the 6-foot freshman out of Coatesville, Pennsylvania, Avery Young.
That was a heck of a throw there, even if it doesn't turn into a completion. The pocket was collapsing there pretty quickly there. Shea Patterson had to step up and throw that one as he was moving forward. Kind of an awkward way to throw a football. Still put it right on the money.
Another target for Oliver Martin. Could have been a touchdown, but again, great coverage from Young. It'll be 2nd and 10. And a quick adjustment to the game clock here announced by the head referee. The clock is set at 12:08 here in the second quarter. Patterson's in shotgun. He's got Higdon behind his rear. 2 receivers to the right. McCune in motion to the left. They go to Peoples-Jones, short side on the right. He cuts across the 25-yard line out towards the 20. It'll be a gain of 9 on 2nd down. And the tackle again made by Isaiah Wharton, who's already got a handful of tackles here so far in the game. Busy at the corner position for the 6'1" redshirt senior out of Kissimmee, Florida. And it's 3rd and 1 after that big gain on 2nd down. Ticking inside of 12 minutes in the second quarter, 7-7 your score here from Piscataway. I formation for Michigan on 3rd and 1. They bring Ben Mason into the game at fullback, Higdon in at tailback. Heavy line formation. The handoff goes to Mason. He plows across the 19-yard line. Is brought backwards after the initial effort. We'll see where they mark him, and it looks like they might actually bring him short even with the forward progress. And I think they will mark him just short. A big stop for the Rutgers defense, and then 4th and 1. Michigan went for 4th and 1 on their first offensive drive of the game, and they failed to convert after a nice tackle from Avery Young in the open field. That was on a handoff to Higdon. We'll see what Jim Harbaugh draws up here as he is electing to go for it again on 4th and 1, this time from the Rutgers 20-yard line. Michigan needs 1 yard. Both the tight ends, Gentry and McCune, in motion from right to left. And a timeout is going to be called by Rutgers here as they're going to take a minute to draw up something on defense. Michigan moved quickly there from the end of 3rd down, electing to go for 4th. And with the clock stopped at 10:45, we've got a heck of a tighter game than we thought we were going to have. 7-7 your score between Rutgers and Michigan here on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football and the Michigan Student Football Radio Network. Jeremy Parks alongside Nate Sorensen. What do you draw up here if you're Jim Harbaugh in the huddle on 4th and 1? It was a handoff to Higdon out of an otherwise empty backfield last time, and it was a lineup that had all the tight end power in the world on the heavy side on the left, and that's the side they ran to with Higdon, but somehow getting through unabated was Avery Young to stop that play. Where do you go this time?
Well, I really like that formation, coming out with just the 2 tight ends and then Ben Mason there at fullback. This Michigan offense in short yardage situations, when they follow Ben Mason, good things happen. I'd expect to see Karan Higdon get the ball, but following Ben Mason there instead of him taking it himself. But on that last play there, interesting by Ben Mason. I'm not quite sure how the ref spotted that one, because it looked like with the forward progress, he did cross the line, but he tried to kind of run sideways there with the ball. I think that's what ended up causing this 4th down here. It's been...
I think perspective-wise for the fans, just to give you a little picture, I know it's a 7-7 game. However, Michigan has 166 yards of total offense. They do only have 1 touchdown to show for it, but for Rutgers, it's only been 2 big plays here in the game. It was, I believe, a 26-yard carry for Pacheco on the first big play of the game, and then Pacheco again on the 80-yard touchdown run. And that accounts for almost all of Rutgers' 109 yards, 106 of them on the ground, 104 of those yards belonging to Isaiah Pacheco.
Hey, Rutgers fans, be sure to visit the Horizon.
So for Michigan,
located
you know, 1 really bad play given up defensively is why this game is even right now. Michigan has still outplayed Rutgers in terms of offensive production. They just haven't had that really big all-star play. They had 1 big shot to Donovan Peoples-Jones. Would have been a gain of about 60, but it was dropped by Peoples-Jones. And then another nice pass thrown by Patterson looking for the end zone with Oliver Martin that was knocked away by Avery Young. Both teams are now out of the huddles. 4th and 1. Michigan sits on the Rutgers 20-yard line just inside the red zone. They need a yard. From where the sticks are at, it looks like maybe a hair over a yard even. It's the line to gain just beyond the 19-yard line. They go right back to that heavy I formation. Mason the tailback, Mason the fullback, Higdon the tailback. The handoff goes to Higdon, busting across the left-hand side. He gets across the line to gain and then some. As he gets near the 15-yard line, brought down at the 16, it'll be a gain of 4. So a much more successful attempt on 4th and 1 for the Wolverines. And if they had been stopped there, you would have started some bigger alarm bells ringing here in Piscataway.
And to go back to what you were saying before, Michigan definitely has been outplaying them. I don't think it's necessarily concerning or whether or not they're going to win or lose, but it would have been nice to see them get the starters off the field early on in this game.
Big heavy formation with the tight ends on the right-hand side. Patterson under center. He's got Higdon here on 1st down. Fakes the handoff, rolling right, looking towards the end zone. Takes a throw, finds Oliver Martin at the 4. He's near the goal line. Knocked out of bounds by Avery Young, and they will mark him at the half-yard line. A gain of 15 on 1st down, and Michigan is again knocking on the door of the Scarlett Knights. It was a heavy hit laid on Martin near the out-of-bounds line. Although it was a legal hit in play, dropping the shoulder there. Avery Young. The 2 corners for Rutgers have been all over the field today, Young and Wharton, as they're going to try and keep Michigan off the board here. They had a half-yard punch in from Higdon the last time they were in this position. It's 1st and goal from the 1. They give the handoff to Higdon. He busts right-hand side, and he does it. Same play, same result. Touchdown, Michigan. Karan Higdon from about a yard. 6 more points on the board, now 13-7 Michigan. We're pending an extra point here from Quinn Nordine. 9:33 remaining in the 2nd quarter. You're listening to Michigan football coverage on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Football Radio Network. That was the exact same play, Nate.
Absolutely, and that's what should happen every time. Michigan should be able to get whatever they want on any play, no matter what.
Good blocking there from Cesar Ruiz under center and Mike Onwenu as Nordine steps in, and this time he gets all of the kick. He shanked it, but still made the first extra point. That time gets a foot to it, and a perfectly fine extra point, as it is now 14-7 in favor of the Wolverines over the Scarlett Knights.
Michigan, with the 1-score lead, even with only being up 1 touchdown, they've clearly controlled this game, and that's never or should really be a concern against Rutgers. Michigan should be expected to win. So far, it's certainly looking like they will, but to come out and to just get an early blowout going, that does more than just, look good on the stat sheet. We know what just happened last week. Dylan McCaffrey on a surprising post-game press release everyone found out he broke his collarbone. It was really caught this entire fan base by surprise, I would think. That kind of thing can happen on every snap.
Which presumably brings Brandon Peters back to the QB2 position, and then maybe Michael Sessa behind him. Doubt it'll get that deep today. I think Michigan fans were expecting to be ahead by a few more touchdowns than 1 here this late in the 2nd quarter, but as we stand, it's 14-7 with 9:33 to play in the 1st half. And again, Michigan is still dominating play overall. 2 big plays given up to Rutgers on offense, both of them courtesy of the tailback Isaiah Pacheco. An 80-yard touchdown run, the highlight for Rutgers so far, and that is the 7 points on the board for the home team here in Piscataway. Both teams in their huddles on the sideline. Players trying to stay warm on the sideline as well. Most of these Michigan players playing with sleeves on today, trying to keep a bit toasty, a bit loose. Those hits hurt a lot more when it's cold outside. That sting lingers
absolutely
quite a bit longer.
There were Scarlett Knights out here doing pregame warm-ups without shirts on at all. They were trying to get themselves ready for it, but there's a big difference pregame. The sun bathed the entire field. Right now, the sun is completely gone from this stadium, and that's really starting to make an impact.
Only just touching the upper reaches of the grandstand over on the far side from us here. That would be the east side of the stadium. We're sitting on an outdoor veranda on the west side. We are also under the elements, but we luckily have our hefty coats, hats, and gloves with us.
Still not completely taking away the effects of this cold weather, I gotta say.
Ball is being held on the tee again for Jake Moody, who gives his ready to go from the 25-yard line, runs up, puts a leg through it. It's a short kick that's going to be gathered in at the 15 there by Rutgers. Return breaking open across the 25 and out to the 27-yard line is Raheem Blackshear. Gain of about 10 on the return. Rutgers will set up in decent field position at their own 27-yard line. Michigan's defense trying to avenge an ugly give up on the last possession, in which Rutgers went one play and 80 yards to pay dirt. Your final scoring drive for Michigan on the last drive, 12 plays, 65 yards, and a touchdown that took 5 minutes and 43 seconds off the clock. Rutgers on first down. Sitkowski is going to give a handoff that's going to go back up the middle, and it'll cut across the 28-yard line, a gain of 2 on first down. It'll be 2nd and 8, and again, it was Pacheco on the carry. That was his 5th carry of the afternoon. Blackshear has received 1 handoff. Sitkowski's attempted 4 passes. He's completed 1 for a total of 3 yards. So Pacheco really the only spark so far on offense for the Scarlett Knights. And on 2nd and 8, Sitkowski drops back. He was looking for a screen in the backfield where he hit Blackshear, who was met for a deep loss behind the 25-yard line by Brandon Watson. And Michigan sniffed that one out from the start. It's a loss of 7 on the play and brings up 3rd and 15. That's more like it.
And now that's about 3 or 4 times in a row where Rutgers has tried to throw it to a back and they got absolutely nothing. It's Michigan sitting on that. They're not going to let that happen on them.
3rd and 15 with the clock ticking, just over 8 minutes remaining in the first half. Out of the shotgun is Sitkowski. He drops back. Chase Winovich bringing pressure. It's a dump off again to Blackshear, and again he's going to be dropped in the backfield. Another tackle for loss, that time made by Devin Bush. So it was a loss of 7 the last time, and on a similar play they lose 3. So a total of negative 10 yards from where they currently sit at 4th and 18. And that'll bring out the punting unit and Korsak.
Really surprising after the creativity Rutgers showed there on that big play with the motion, the faking the end around, getting some misdirection going, that they just absolutely had nothing going on that drive.
Standing on his own 40 is Peoples-Jones. The wind has died down for just a moment as Korsak's punt is blocked. Blocked, but it still squirts forward towards midfield. It was blocked by Brandon Watson, but Michigan is going to have fantastic field position. Make it Kalik Hudson on the block, actually, both bringing pressure. Hudson with the block. Lucky for Rutgers, it still squirted about 25 yards out near midfield, and it will be Michigan ball. We'll see where they actually mark it going out of bounds. It looks like it'll be the Michigan 47. That's the first blocked punt of the season, I believe, for this Wolverines special teams unit.
You normally see Kalik Hudson coming around the edge. He's always trying for it. Surprised to see it took this long in the year for him to finally get to one.
Just a bit unlucky that the block still results in a decent yardage punt. It'll be a total of 34 yards on the punt, despite the pressure in the block. So Michigan will have the ball at their own 47. Great field position again, trying to advance on a 14-7 lead here with 7:15 remaining in the first half. You're listening to Michigan Football on WCBN Sports, the Michigan Student Football Radio Network. Again, I can't repeat enough that Michigan is still dominating this game. The only reason that it's close at the moment is a missed 4th and 1 on the first drive of the game for the Wolverines, and an 80-yard touchdown run for Isaiah Pacheco and the Scarlett Knights.
Served in the U.S. Navy during World War II.
The veterans salute today. A World War II veteran. We do not have his name yet. Walter, the first name. He is 98 years old, standing on the goal line, looking spry as can be. Put some pads on him, Nate.
Incredible.
At 98.
Yeah, to be able to
Love
walk,
the veteran salutes.
walk without even a cane.
No, nothing at all.
And there's sometimes where veterans come out onto the goal line, their walk back off the field takes a good while. He is walking quite comfortably. Not even a bit of a hitch in his step. That is absolutely staggering for a man of his age. That you love to see that.
So Michigan will start the drive again at their own 47-yard line. Patterson will be in the gun. He's got True Wilson behind his tail. He's got split receivers out to the right and left. He gives the handoff to True Wilson on first down. It goes all the way to the left-hand side of the line, cutting across midfield and out to about the Rutgers 49. It'll be a pickup of 4 on first.
True Wilson is still able to get a pretty good gain just running out to the edge there, but that play looked like it was originally designed to go off the tackle there. Rutgers just filled up that hole. The run defense continues to impress for these Scarlett Knights.
2nd and 6 now for Michigan. As Patterson again will come out of shotgun. He's got True Wilson lined up to his left-hand side now. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Patterson takes a deep shot here on 2nd down. Did he find Peoples-Jones? He did not. It falls incomplete towards the feet of Peoples-Jones as he fell backwards. Coverage again there by Avery Young, who has been all over the place for Rutgers so far this afternoon. And that brings up 3rd and 6 from the Rutgers 49.
Tight coverage there.
He has had tight coverage all afternoon. He's already broken up a touchdown pass. Just broke up another long pass attempt by Shea Patterson, who is 10 of 14 so far in the afternoon for 106 yards. 3rd and 6, he stands in the shotgun. He's got 3 receivers to his right. He drops back. He's looking left the whole way. Finds an open receiver in Nico Collins across the 40-yard line, and that's a first down on a pickup of about 8. Tackle again, guess who? Avery Young, as he brings Nico Collins out of bounds. But it's 1st and 10 for Michigan as they get out to the Rutgers 39-yard line, make it a gain of 10.
That's Nico Collins' first reception of the game. I've seen him open a couple of times on the field. It looks like Shea's been really trying to feed Donovan Peoples-Jones so far in this one.
And on 1st and 10, Michigan goes heavy set, fakes the handoff in play action, looking for a little dump pass over to the tight end, Sean McCune, and that one falls incomplete. An awkward-looking play from the start. Michigan perhaps lucky it fell incomplete because McCune was well covered, standing near the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 10. That does stop the clock with 5:54 remaining here in the first half.
2nd and 10 from the 39.
It looked like maybe Shea Patterson intentionally threw that one over McCune's head. Maybe guessing that he would get dropped behind the line of scrimmage if he did manage to bring that one in.
Chris Evans is in the game as the running back. He lines up to the right of Patterson. They fake the handoff. The pass is completed out to Ronnie Bell, but he is stopped dead in his tracks as he made the grab at about the 36-yard line. So it'll be a gain of 3, and it's 3rd and 7.
Right there, that's
good coverage there by Saquon Hampton, the safety.
an absolutely terrific closing speed. That's what you like to see out of an NFL safety right there, to be able to see where the ball's going and break on the receiver and get there in a hurry.
Big 3rd down for Michigan and Rutgers alike. 3rd and 7 from the Rutgers 36. Patterson's in the gun. 3 receivers to the left, nobody to the right. He drops back. He has to look left the whole way. Going all the way for the end zone. He's got a wide open Nico Collins. Where was the defense? Touchdown, Michigan. 36 yards to the house. Nico Collins didn't have a man within 10 yards of him.
There were 2 deep safeties there,
and they both bit in.
they had eyes towards Donovan Peoples-Jones, it looked like. Never even noticed Nico Collins run right by him.
A wide open touchdown pass from Shea Patterson to Nico Collins, the first touchdown pass of the afternoon for Michigan, as they are up 20-7 pending the extra point here as they are lined up. Quinn Nordine puts a foot through it. The kick is good. 21-7 Michigan with 5:07 remaining in the first half. You're listening to Michigan football coverage on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Football Radio Network. 36-yard touchdown pass from Patterson to Collins.
Well, just as we were really starting to talk up that Rutgers secondary, should have figured they'd have a busted coverage like that. But that one was clearly a miscommunication there between the safeties. They never had anyone even trying to cover Nico Collins on that one. That's a tough one to take right there for this Rutgers team. Only down one score, still here, or they were only down one score. To give up that big play, that's a backbreaker.
If you couldn't see it on TV or on the replay, wherever you're watching with us today, there was not a man within 10 yards, and I mean fully 10 yards of Nico Collins. One of those very broken defensive plays for Rutgers leads to the third touchdown of the afternoon for the Wolverines. 21-7. Patterson now on the day, 13 for 18 for 155 yards and a touchdown. The scoring drive, 6 plays, 53 yards. Only took 2 minutes and 8 seconds off the clock, and we've got plenty of ball to play before the half. And after that touchdown, as odd enough as it is to say, there are already fans leaving the stadium.
Maybe they're just going to get warmed up maybe for a second.
Perhaps.
Because let me tell you right now,
it is noticeable enough that there are people heading towards the exit portals of the sections.
As cold as it is, I have certainly felt a noticeable drop in the temperature since the sun went away here. Can't fault the fans too much.
Again, a big thanks to all of you tuning in with us here on WCBN Sports today. Michigan's official student voice of the Wolverines. Again, feel free to like and subscribe the channel you're currently listening to on YouTube to get heads-up notice of all of our broadcasts of Michigan athletics, both in Ann Arbor and across the country.
And if you're on Twitter, maybe go on over to our Twitter feed, give us a retweet.
WCBN Sports is the handle. As both teams are lined back up out on the field. Quick reminder as well, if you have any questions about the game or comments, we always do monitor the live chat throughout the game on YouTube. And we will get back to you as soon as we can throughout the broadcast. We've got Austin Falco and Daniel Thompson in here with us as well on the crew. As Jake Moody has the ball down on the tee, the kick is up, and again, a very short kick that's fielded at the 15-yard line by Pacheco. Pacheco cutting across the 25, across the 30. Here comes Isaiah Pacheco again across the 35 and the 40, and a flag is down as Pacheco has a nice return brought out at the 42-yard line, but it looks like this one's coming back. We'll see what the call is. Austin Falco spotting for us here this half. He's going to signal that he thinks it's going to be a hold. We'll see who he's looking at here. It is indeed a hold. And it does go against Davion Robinson. A good call there from the spotter, Austin Falco, and that'll bring back and negate the good return for Rutgers. We'll see where they spot the ball after the penalty.
That was about as clear of a holding as it gets. He had a handful of jersey right there. It did not catch the number of the Michigan player he was engaged with, but the Michigan player turned their back to him, tried to run away, just simply grabbed the back of his jersey and held him. That's as clear-cut as it gets.
And it will be spotted directly at the 20-yard line for 1st and 10 for Rutgers. They go with a pitch play to Raheem Blackshear on first down, who moves to the left-hand side, gets across the 20-yard line to the 21, a gain of 1.5 or so on first down. Brad Hawkins on the tackle. Brian Monet checks in on the defensive line for the Wolverines. Also out there, Devin Gill at linebacker, another name not consistently out on there for defense. On 2nd and 8, fake handoff, moving towards the left-hand side, and another big run for Rutgers. It's going to be a first down and more. And again, that was a direct snap to Blackshear as he gets across the 40-yard line into the 41. So it's been 2 big rushing plays for Isaiah Pacheco, and now a big rushing play for Raheem Blackshear as he is out to the Rutgers 41-yard line. That's a gain of 20 on second down. Michigan's run defense struggling to stop Rutgers at times here throughout the first half. 1st and 10, a similar play. Fake handoff moving towards the left-hand side as Blackshear on the direct snap, but this time he's stopped in the backfield for a loss of about half a yard. Devin Gill on the tackle.
And with that 20-yard rush, that brings Rutgers up to 122 total yards here so far in the first half. All of those yards are rushing.
2nd and 10. 3 minutes and 30 seconds and ticking remaining here in the first half. Rutgers down by 2 touchdowns. Blackshear is again going to line up for the direct snap, and this time he's going to try and go back up the middle. He breaks a couple of tackles, and instead of a loss, gets out close towards the first down marker. He avoided 2 tacklers there. I believe it was Carlo Kemp and Chase Winovich whiffing on the speedy Blackshear. The tackle was finally made by Brad Hawkins at the Rutgers 49-yard line. They need to get just across the 50 for a first down, so it's 3rd down and 2. A gain of 8 on second down.
Now, in a 3rd and short yardage situation here, you got to imagine Rutgers is going back to the ground.
And that'll end the direct snaps as Sitkowski comes back in at quarterback. He completes a pass, and it's dropped. Tried to find Isaiah Pacheco out of the backfield on the left-hand side, and it was in and out of his hands. Devin Bush was on the man coverage there with Pacheco coming out of the backfield, and that'll lead to a 4th and 2. And standing at midfield, we'll see if Rutgers elects to punt. It looks like they're going to leave the offense out on the field. Michigan has gone for 4th down twice in the game. They converted 1 4th and 1. They missed on the first 4th and 1. This will be Rutgers' first attempt on 4th down. They need 2 yards. They need to get to their own, or to the Michigan 49, I should say. Stacking the box. Heavy set. Fakes the handoff. Looking play action. Sitkowski rolling out to his right. He's near the first down marker where he is tackled by Rashawn Gary. Not sure if he got the first down there. We'll see where they spotted. I think they're going to call him a little short.
Looks like they're clearly marking him short, but
I think they are marking him at the 50 because as he slid, it's where the ball is when he starts the sliding motion. Even though his whole body got to about the line to gain, they're going to say he started a yard short, and that's a turnover on downs.
that's a tough one right there. As a quarterback, when you're running the ball, I understand wanting to preserve your body over anything else, but if he extends that ball there, he probably gets that first down.
It was a QB rollout to the right-hand side, coming up just short. It was a bit unclear as the players lingered around there for a good 30 seconds after the play, but the turnover on downs give Michigan great field position right at midfield on the 50-yard line. They're moving quickly now on first down. Play action. Patterson going for the long ball again, looking for Peoples-Jones. Incomplete. Coverage there was Saquon Hampton for Rutgers, and that's the second time that Patterson has looked deep to DPJ today. The first one was dropped. That one was broken up by Hampton.
And it looked like Hampton may have got there a little bit early. I didn't really make a whole lot of contact with Peoples-Jones, though. That was just a good play on the ball.
Incompletion on first down is 2nd and 10 from midfield. 2:24 remaining in the first half. Michigan up 21-7 on Rutgers. Split receivers left and right. Higdon, the tailback, he takes the handoff to the left-hand side, cutting towards the 45-yard line to the left, and he does get the 45. Gain of 5 on second down will make it 3rd and 5. Time continuing to tick away here in the first half. 3rd and 5.
That run right there brings Karan Higdon up to about 35 yards on 10 carries. That is not what you expect to see out of Karan Higdon. Granted, 2 of those carries have come right on the goal line, but they've done a great job containing him here so far. 2
receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Higdon is to the left of Patterson. They give the handoff to Higdon as he gets across the 45 and really nothing more. He's going to be well short of the first down. A gain of 1. And that'll bring up 4th down and about 4. An awkward position for Michigan. A short punt if they elect to punt. Too long for a field goal as it sits on the Rutgers 43-yard line. And Shea Patterson not sure if they're going to go for it or not. And with that last carry, noted as well, Karan Higdon needed 37 yards to get to 1,000 on the season. That last carry gave him 38, so now 1,001 yards rushing for Karan Higdon, who is looking for his 8th straight game with 100 yards rushing. And Michigan, I think, going to take time out here as the play clock winds down with 55 seconds remaining in the half. Oh, they do take the delay of game, actually, to push it back maybe 5 yards for the punt. That would be the only obvious answer to that. So as we said, a little awkward. It would have been a very short punt there for Will Hart. So they take the extra 5 yards, spot the ball at the Rutgers 48-yard line, and they will punt it away on 4th and 8 here with 55 seconds remaining in the half.
I don't hate that decision at all. Will Hart, we know he's a great punter, but he's not exactly the best at pinning teams deep. Maybe a little bit of a good practice here for him.
21-7 your score here between Michigan and Rutgers. Rutgers may have one more opportunity before the half is done here. Low snap, but Hart handles it. Short punt. Whiffed on that one as it's bouncing at the 21-yard line to the 18 where it's downed. Not a great punt there from Will Hart as Rutgers will take over at their own 18-yard line. We'll see if they elect to just run the clock out here and get to the locker room. In a closer game than a lot anticipated here as we move towards the half. 45 seconds remaining in the second quarter. It's 21-7 Michigan here on WCBN Sports, the Michigan Student Football Radio Network.
Definitely a shocking first half here for the Michigan Wolverines. We came into this one expecting to see a lot of backups for the Wolverines. Well, so far they've still got all of their starters in. It's just a unfortunate way to go here late in the season. A game like this that shouldn't really matter a whole lot.
And it looks like Rutgers will hand off on first down. The first carry of the afternoon for the third running back to see action today, Jonathan Hilleman. And that should about run the clock out. They may run one more play here before the half. It was a gain of 4.
2nd and 6 from the 22.
The tackle was made on the play by Brandon Watson.
Yeah, in a game that really shouldn't matter all that much for the Wolverines, it would have been nice to see some guys a little deeper in the depth chart, get some live game action, while also preserving the health of the starters. Having them on the field is always a risk, no matter what.
Rutgers will not run another play as the clock will tick 4, 3, 2, and 1. That'll end the first half here from highpoint.com Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey, as the Revolutionary War cannon sounds in the north end zone. Your score at the half, Michigan 21, Rutgers 7. Nate, your thoughts on the first half?
Tough to see Michigan come out. They just looked flat-footed, got a little confused there sometimes, but this game's still well in hand. Really shouldn't be too much cause for concern.
The biggest concern for Michigan, the run defense. They gave up 135 yards on the ground in the first half, the vast majority of that coming on an 80-yard touchdown run for Isaiah Pacheco. Your halftime stats, total yards in favor of the Wolverines, 246 to 135. Artur Satowski, the quarterback, 2 for 6 for 0 yards on the first half, so nothing in the passing game for Rutgers. It's all been on the ground. Michigan, meanwhile, Shea Patterson, 13 for 19, 155 yards and a score. Karan Higdon leading the rushing game for Michigan with 11 carries for 38 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also broke 1,000 yards on the season in the first half, now sitting at 1,001. That's going to do it for myself, Jeremy Parks, and Nate Sorensen here from highpoint.com Stadium here in the first half. We've got Austin Falco and Daniel Thompson coming up for you in the second. We're going to go silent for about 15 minutes. We'll be back in a few here with second half action from Piscataway, New Jersey on the campus of Rutgers. Your score at the half again, Michigan 21, Rutgers 7. Thank you again for all of you tuning in on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Football Radio Network. We'll be back in a few. Go Blue.
Welcome back, everybody, inside highpoint.com studio, or highpoint.com stadium, rather, for WCBN sports coverage of Michigan football. Michigan and Rutgers resuming in just a couple minutes here. I'm Austin Falk, alongside me Daniel Thompson, to take you through the second half of action here. The score, Michigan 21, Rutgers 7, and a half that we expected was not going to be as close as it was coming into this one, Daniel.
No, and I think this one is going to surprise folks around the country. I mean, nationwide, this game got a lot of press for being what many assumed would be an out-of-control game. This Michigan team has been compared a lot to themselves 2 years ago when they were at this point last year. They suffered their first loss with 3 games left in the season. You would assume if this score holds that Michigan will also be 10-1 or 9-1 rather through 10 games. Michigan's been living in the shadow of that 2016 team a lot, and I think once they broke into the CFP rankings at number 4 this week, they kind of maybe surpassed them. A lot of people are predicting them to this Michigan team to being the one that can finally win the Big Ten. But right now, this Michigan team has looked a lot more 2017 than 2016. Of course, last year, the Rutgers game was much more competitive, only 35-14 final. This year, an all-touchdown affair so far, much like in 2016. But that 2016 game, as everyone knows, was 78-0.
Yeah, so far this one, as you mentioned, 21-7 the score as Michigan and Rutgers take the field, ready to resume things here in the second half. Not so much, to say that Rutgers are stuck in it, it's really been on the strength of their running game and their running game only. There really hasn't been much of a passing game for Rutgers. In fact, 2 for 6 for 0 yards is the starting quarterback for the Scarlett Knights, Arthur Sitkowski.
And so, you're very correct. A few big plays have changed the storyline in this one. We could be very easy looking at a 28 or 35-0 game. Of course, the one huge rush led to the only points for Rutgers so far, but the passing game has been non-existent.
As we kick off here to start things in the second half, Rutgers kicks off to Ambry Thomas for Michigan. He catches the ball back around his own 7. It comes out to about the 25-yard line going right. Michigan will get the ball. Looks like they're going to spot it at the 27-yard line.
And I don't think very many Wolverine fans out there are concerned about possibly losing this game. It's all about style points, I would imagine, for the Wolverine faithful, but this drive could kind of put any concerns about maybe letting this be a close game down into the fourth quarter away. We still got a lot of ball game ahead of us, and this first half showed you do not overlook teams. You can only play the team ahead of you.
Michigan comes out starting in the pistol. Karan Higdon behind Shea Patterson. The tight end to each side, 2 wide receivers off to the right. Hand off to Higdon now, goes up the middle towards the right side. Not going to have much doing though, as he's tackled by a host of Scarlet Knights after a gain of about 1, maybe 1.5.
Interesting to see the entire starting lineup that starts every game for the Wolverines to start the second half too. A lot of Michigan fans thought that they would be deep into the rotation at this point. Karan Higdon, who is still looking for his 8th consecutive 100-yard game, still out there.
So far, 11 rushes, 38 yards, 2 touchdowns for Higdon. He comes out in the backfield next to Patterson in the shotgun. Patterson motions Grant Perry right to left. A wide receiver split out to each side, and tight end to Patterson's right. Takes the snap now, does Patterson, looking right, looking downfield, going deep for Ronnie Bell, but down it was Jones, overthrows him to the sideline just a little bit. Perhaps the wind and the cold playing a role in that one, as well as maybe on a couple of the early misses.
This drive has really exemplified the game plan for Rutgers on defense. Everyone knows this Michigan team is a run-first team. They have really controlled the run, kept Karan Higdon to under 4 yards a carry, well below his season average, well over 5 yards, and forced Michigan to throw in unfavorable passing conditions.
3rd and 9 now from Wolverine's own 28-yard line. Patterson from the shotgun, Higdon to his right. 2 wide receivers left and a tight end, 1 to his right. Patterson takes the snap. He's looking left still, going deep over the middle for Zach Gentry, who makes the grab while being absolutely covered by Saquon Hampton out to midfield. There's a flag on the play. I think it's going to end up being a holding on Hampton. He could not contain Gentry as hard as he did try on that one.
I would have to think so. I mean, Saquon Hampton is 7 inches shorter than Zach Gentry, and basically Gentry was giving him a pony back ride.
It was indeed a holding call there on Saquon Hampton. Instead of taking the penalty and the first down, Michigan will take the big gain out to midfield. They're going to spot the ball just shy of midfield at Michigan's 49-yard line, but And nice pass there over the middle from
And that improves Michigan to 6 of 9 on third down. That's a pretty nice rate, and it could be an even more competitive game if not for that.
Patterson now motions Higdon from his left to his right in the shotgun. Hands off to Higdon now, going off the left side, over the left hash, breaks a couple tackles. Out across midfield to the Rutgers 46-yard line is Higdon. Brought down the play by, it looked like the big defensive tackle, John Backety.
Still limiting Higdon to no explosive plays. He's a back who can just tear games open. On the second offensive play for the Wolverines against Penn State last week, he ripped off a 50-yard gain. No such runs to talk about in this one. His longest for 9 yards.
About 5.5 yards on that one. Michigan comes out, 3 tight ends, motion McEwen right to left. Higdon takes the ball, starts left, now bounces back right and gets tackled in the backfield. Coming up to make the play was Isaiah Wharton, who's been all over the field today.
So Higdon sells out for the big play on that one. It does not pay off. If he could have just high-stepped out of one more tackle, he maybe could have been gone. Instead, he is brought down in the backfield, setting up yet another 3rd and long for the Wolverines, who have done a great job converting those so far today.
Another big 3rd down here, 3rd and long for Michigan. They struggled a lot of the season coming into this one. As you mentioned, 6 of 9 on 3rd down tonight. Just picked up a big conversion on 3rd and 9. They'll have to do it here on 3rd and 7. They come out in the shotgun again. Patterson's got True Wilson to his left. Motions Peoples-Jones while Nico Collins in towards formation. Rolling out to his left now is Patterson, looking downfield. Has Peoples-Jones open, makes the leaping, twisting grab inside the 20-yard line of Rutgers. Does Donovan Peoples-Jones.
How comfortable and collected has Shea Patterson looked in the pocket? That's about the third and long here now, where Patterson rolls out, does not have any immediately open receivers, and then finds his man downfield for a big play. That is very high caliber quarterback play. Even in the NFL, you don't always see quarterback play that well.
Big gain has Michigan in the red zone all the way down to the 16-yard line of the Scarlett Knights. Michigan comes out 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, 1 to each side. Patterson in the shotgun, motions Higdon off to his left. Claps a couple times, waits for the snaps. He has it. Hands off to Higdon, running right. Higdon stutters for a second, then gets wrapped up in the backfield and taken down by half of that Scarlett Knight front line. Really got pushed back to the right side of the Michigan offensive line. Nothing going for Higdon there. Able to get back to about the line of scrimmage and save a loss of yards, though.
You really have to commend Rutgers' rushing defense in this game. 2 years ago when the Wolverines came here, they set a school record of 9 rushing touchdowns in a single game. Not happening at all tonight.
3 tight ends in formation, 2 to the left, 1 to the right, 1 wide receiver split out far to the right with Shea Patterson. Shea Patterson fakes the true Higdon on the give. Now sits back, plenty of time in the pocket, scrambling around a little bit now. Still can't bring him down, does Rutgers. He throws to the end zone and touchdown grab. Oliver Martin in the end zone.
By my count, Shea Patterson had 7 seconds to throw there. That is just unreal. When a quarterback has all that time to throw from just outside the red zone, you can guarantee a touchdown nearly every time. That was all day. And Oliver Martin, who's had himself a big day, gets to put the exclamation point on that drive. A really good-looking drive from Shea Patterson there.
Big play there. Shea Patterson had tons of time in the pocket. Did throw to Oliver Martin for the touchdown. Now Quinn Nordine out for the extra point. Comes out. The snap's good. The hold's good. Clay, or rather,
And it's good.
That one is good there, off the foot of Quinn Nordine.
Michigan 28, Rutgers
The
7.
first extra point did not look good at all, but in these conditions, that can be like kicking a solid rock with how cold the football can feel.
So 28-7 now the score. Michigan over Rutgers here in Piscataway. 11-12 left to go here in the third quarter. You mentioned going into that drive, Daniel, that a touchdown drive there from the Wolverines would go a long way towards easing Michigan fans' hopes that this one would be a blowout, and we'd see maybe some of those backups later in this ball game. How do you feel about that one? Michigan had to convert a couple big 3rd downs. Rutgers pushed them to the brink a couple times, so a little more competitive than you would think out of a drive that went 8 plays, 73 yards, and just 3:43.
Well, honestly, for the Michigan Wolverines, the only aspect of the game they have not been truly great at on the defensive and offensive sides of the field is the offensive passing side. They are the best defense in the country. They have shut down teams rushing and passing. They have a totally dominant rushing game that can take over games, wear teams out. But the passing game is the only area where really anything has been left to be desired. And the passing game has looked better than usual in this day tonight, actually. The real difference is that Rutgers has bottled up the run. And that should be concerning for Wolverines fans, but the passing game has looked really good there, and maybe Michigan fans, you could put an argument together that Michigan fans should feel better about their team after this game with the way Shea Patterson and his receivers have played.
You mentioned Rutgers bottling up the run. Michigan just 3.7 yards per carry in this one. Their lead running back, Ron Higdon, only 2.8 on the day. Meanwhile, Shea Patterson, the quarterback, throwing 16 of 23 for 224 yards. He's got 2 touchdowns on the day, including that last one to Oliver Martin.
And one thing, just to really emphasize how the running game has been so different here, Michigan only has 95 rushing yards in this game. Rutgers has 135. They're out rushing Michigan, which is just ridiculous to think about, in my opinion. Now, the reason why Michigan is still winning by 21 rather, is that Rutgers only has 135 total yards. They have 0 passing yards in this game.
And we'll see if Rutgers, now behind by 3 scores, has to come out and start throwing the ball, or if they stick to what's worked with them tonight. And that's give the ball to the 2 star running backs that get a lot of carries in this offense. Shaheem Blackshear and Isaiah Pacheco. So far, Pacheco 5 for 106 and a touchdown, including that 80-yarder that was that touchdown. Blackshear is 6 of 24, but did break out a 21-yarder when he kept it on Wildcat formation. So really, Rutgers' plan, it seems to be, is try to hit a home run with those 2. They know they probably can't sustain drives against this Michigan defense.
This Michigan team currently averages 218 rushing yards a game. So that should give you an idea of what Rutgers has done so far to limit the Michigan Wolverines. The last time they were held under 100 rushing yards, was their only loss of the season in South Bend.
It'll be Jake Moody kicking off for the Wolverines now. He's got a holder, as he has all night in these windy conditions here in Piscataway. Kicks it off. Another shallow kick going into the wind. It's fielded there by Pacheco on his own 12, and he has room over the left side. Cuts over the middle and breaks the tackle of Moody. He's going on the left sideline. A diving attempt made there by Hewlett before finally being forced out of bounds by Ambry Thomas. Is Pacheco all the way down at the Wolverine 30-yard line.
And that may have been a touchdown-saving effort there by Jake Moody. He could not stop the ball carrier, but he did slow him down.
We do have a penalty flag all the way back at the Rutgers 27. It is a holding, so it's going to come and pretty much flip the field. Instead of being inside of the Rutgers, or rather inside the Michigan 30, Rutgers will have to start inside their own 30-yard line. Second time today, Rutgers had a decent return, wiped out by a holding call.
And that could have really kept Rutgers in this game. They only been able to put points on the board from 1 explosive run. They've had, I think, in total 3 plays run from the Michigan side of the field. Those all came on the first drive, and they've yet to gain any yards while on the Michigan side of the field. They got to the Michigan 49, then ran 3 either runs for no gain or incompletions. Now they're back to their own 18.
Rutgers comes out on the offside eye, 2 wide receivers left, 1 to the right. Sikowski turns around, hands off, going up the middle is Pacheco. He takes it out 3 yards to the 21-yard line, it looks like.
And interestingly, Michigan's starting players are all out there. I mean, a 21-point lead you would not think normally commands bringing out the starters, but Rashawn Gary, who has struggled with injuries recently, he's still out there playing. We just see Josh Uche and Ambry Thomas come off, but Chase Winovich out there as well.
Sikowski now comes out under center, single back. It's Blackshear. He's got a tight end to his left and a wide receiver, 2 wide receivers to the right. Now motions one of those wideouts entire to the formation. Drops back to pass. Is Sikowski throwing deep right and making the grab. And wide open space out to the 42-yard line, the 37-yard line is Shameen Jones, the redshirt freshman out of Bronx, New York.
And that's only the 3rd completion of the day for Arthur Sikowski. And finally puts any positive yardage on for the offense. It's 16 total passing yards. That's still far from ideal, but
the throws for Sikowski today, 3 yards, negative 3 yards, and that 16-yarder to give Rutgers a first down at the 37-yard line. Now Sikowski in the backfield in the shotgun, drops back to pass, looking to his right, now goes over the middle, tipped up in the air by Devin Bush and harmlessly falls to the ground. Could have been extremely bad there for Sikowski. Devin Bush is sitting back in the zone, watching Sikowski's eyes all the way. Broke that one up, and it'll be 2nd and 10.
And one of the very few criticisms you could possibly construct for this Michigan defense is they don't always generate turnovers, which largely you can chop up to bad luck. But when they did force 3 turnovers against Penn State, that just helped that game become a total blowout. Rutgers' ability to keep control of the ball is part of the reason why they're still in this one.
At last, Sikowski was looking for Blackshear going over the middle. Now Sikowski comes out under center, hands off to the end around. Mohamed Jabi on the end around there for Rutgers. Gets out across the 42 before going out of bounds. He went marked out at the 42-yard line exactly. It'll be 3rd and 5.
And that one was always well contained. Chase Winovich was always staring down the ball carrier. But Rutgers' offense has looked like a functional offense that does have a throwing game so far in this drive. If they can keep that up, they'll hang around in this one.
3rd and 5. Rutgers is 0 of 4 on 3rd downs so far in this one. Coming out 2 running backs in the backfield. Now Blackshear gets motioned out wide to the left. Ambry Thomas covering him. Sikowski fakes the screen pass. Now going deep on a wheel out down the sideline and incomplete through the arms of Jabi.
He had him. I mean, that was a dangerous throw. He was getting tackled by Devin Bush as he threw. It was a little bit short, and they now, as I was just saying, Devin Bush was making the tackle as the ball was being thrown, but they call a roughing the passer on him.
I was looking downfield, didn't quite see what exactly. We got a little bit of a questionable look from our colleague Jeremy Parks here, who you heard in the first half. Nonetheless, it will be 15 yards, though, for Rutgers on the personal foul, roughing the passer call on Devin Bush.
And I would assume that is for throwing Sikowski into the ground, not just for hitting him.
So Rutgers has the ball at Michigan's 43-yard line. Sikowski under center, pitches off to the left side as Pacheco stuttering in the backfield. Absolutely clogged up there by the Michigan defense. A host of Wolverines brings them down. For it looks like it's going to end up being a loss of 1 at the Michigan 44.
So that drops Rutgers to 0 for 4 when it comes to gaining any yardage on plays from the Michigan side of the field. They do have the 1 touchdown that was from 80 yards on the first play of the drive. Going backward right now, though.
Rutgers has struggled to move the ball consistently against the Wolverines. It's been big plays, or in the case of this drive right here, a fortunate penalty. Sikowski comes out in the shotgun, 1 running back to each side, motions a wide receiver, or rather tight end in towards the formation. Looking for the screen pass. Left side is Sikowski now. Cannot find Jonathan Hillman out of the backfield. And it'll be 3rd and 11.
And that was a simple screen pass, but Sikowski overthrew his man. David Long was the closest person to catching that ball, and he was mad at himself for not making the pick there. Points his head to the sky and gives a little hop in frustration. Nonetheless, I think he has nothing to be too ashamed of. He's limited the Rutgers offense to 16 passing yards.
And normally when you're throwing a screen incomplete, you want to throw it into the ground. You almost do that one right in the arms of David Long. Sikowski now in the shotgun, comes out, 2 wide receivers to each side. He's looking deep down the middle of the field, turning and incomplete there. Looking for Hilleman, streaking down the middle of the field, or rather, that wasn't him, it was Eddie Lewis who ended up being in the spot there.
And Sikowski is also once again fortunate that that one wasn't intercepted. That's 2 plays in a row, really, where the ball was thrown very close to the defensive back, but the defensive back had his head down, looking more so at the receiver. Tyree Cannell, if he looked up, he could have very easily intercepted that one. That would have been like catching a fly ball.
Ambry Thomas got some playing time. He was primarily in coverage. As you said there, Tyree Cannell had a chance at that one. So Rutgers will be forced to punt now. Peoples-Jones deep for the Wolverines, ready to field the kick from the Rutgers punter. That's Korsak. He boots it high in the air. It's going to bounce around the 12-yard line of Michigan and roll out of bounds off to the right side. Going to out of bounds about the 7. So a nice punt there by Korsak, the Aussie.
And a respectable drive from the Rutgers Scarlett Knights. One of the big issues in that 2016 game for the Scarlet Knights was that they were not getting first downs. It took until the 4th quarter for Rutgers to get their first down of the game. And when you don't control the ball, there's nothing stopping the other team from just piling on more points. And that's how a 78-0 game happens. When your time of possession is more balanced, right now Rutgers has possessed the ball for 13 minutes in this game. That's a recipe for keeping the game close. 13 minutes to 24 minutes right now, as opposed to whatever it was last year, 2 years ago rather, where it was totally out of whack. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights on all phases so far in this game playing much better than they did 2 years ago.
And arguably you could say that comes down to the ability to stop the run game. What Rutgers has done so far tonight, holding Michigan just 95 yards so far in a half and a drive worth of the Michigan offense being on the field, something that was not evident at all last time Michigan was here in Piscataway. I'm sure it happened. I don't remember off the exact top of my head here, but it seemed like Michigan didn't throw a pass in the entire last 2.5 quarters of that game. Wilton Speight was pretty much done after he threw a touchdown pass early in the second quarter. After that, it was Michigan just running the ball and pounding the ball, controlling the clock. As you said, that's the recipe for a big lopsided game. Not the recipe we've had so far here today. Rutgers keeping it close. It's 28-7 in favor of Michigan. 7:57 left here in the third quarter. You're listening to WCBN Sports Broadcast of Michigan Football. We thank you for tuning in today. Nate Sorensen and Jeremy Parks did a fantastic job over on the first half of action. And Daniel Thompson and myself, Austin Falco, bringing you the rest of the way here in Piscataway.
And as we're at a commercial TV timeout, WCBN is, of course, commercial-free. We'll give you a couple scores from across the country. Number 11 Kentucky is on upset alert. They trail 24-0 to 4-5 Tennessee.
Kentucky, very dangerous, very I'd say not even in danger of dropping that one. I think it's likely they drop that one at this point, barring some comeback there in Knoxville.
Meanwhile, Oklahoma leads Oklahoma State 34-28 in that game in Norman.
At halftime, too. As Michigan now will come out to start the drive at their own 7-yard line. Patterson comes out in the pistol, has True Wilson behind him. He hands off to True Wilson, going off the right side. Nothing going, really. He gets out maybe a couple yards to the 8, maybe the 9-yard line. Not much at all. He's swallowed up in the middle of that Rutgers defense. If they give him 1 yard, it'll be 2nd and 9.
And True Wilson is the author of the longest run for the Wolverines today, only 15 yards. I can assure you that is the lowest long run in the game for the Wolverines so far in this season.
Patterson comes out in the shotgun, Evans to his right, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end to each side. Patterson takes the snap in the shotgun, hands to Evans going up the middle, and absolutely nothing going yet again. Swallowed up by that Rutgers defense. That Rutgers front 7 doing a fantastic job today of just bottling up any sort of running game Michigan's trying to accomplish. And it'll bring up 3rd and 9 now as they say no gain on the play. Patterson comes out in the shotgun, 4 receivers bunched out to the right side, 1 to the left. Rutgers having trouble with the reads. That's going to force a timeout there by Chris Ash.
And we saw a couple Rutgers players on the defensive line stand and yell at some of their linebackers to get them into the right position. Looks like that formation, which the Wolverines have very seldomly come out and really gave the Rutgers Scarlett Knights some troubles there. Call timeout to look over that one because that's a big down for them. If they can force a punt here, they will be in good field position. And maybe cut this down to a 14-point game before the 4th quarter gets underway.
Yeah, we've seen Michigan come out in that formation at times during the season with the diamond formation off to the right. That one, I believe it was Gentry, Collins, Evans. I didn't catch who the 4th member was. I believe another one of the tight ends on the roster out there in a diamond formation. And Rutgers only had 2 guys over to cover, and that was not going to go well for them. That was an easy read if Michigan wanted a screenplay, an easy 4-on-2. You're going to end up with a first down probably, if not more. Especially get that ball to Chris Evans, give him some space and blockers. So smart timeout there by head coach Chris Ash, preventing what could have been a disastrous end to what was a promising drive from Rutgers, pinning Michigan deep and then stopping them on the first 2 plays. 6:51 to go here in the 3rd quarter of action now. Michigan leads Rutgers 28-7. No, we just gave you a score update here, but could be some new listeners joining in. If you are, thanks for joining.
Steakhouse 85, a 21st century rendition.
Piscataway, here in Piscataway. The stadium, I'd be generous to call it half full at this point. I'd say maybe more like a 1/3. That might be generous also. The student section just about evaporated from what it was earlier on, less than halfway full of what it was, and it wasn't very full before. The side that we're on here, we had a nice view of the big R at midfield, a little more full than what we're looking at on the other side, where the upper deck is full of just about no one. There's a couple sections with absolutely no one in those sections. It's a cold day here in Piscataway. At kickoff, it was 43 degrees, 18-mile-an-hour winds with gusts up to 31. But I can tell you right now, it's already colder than that as the sun has already gone down.
Indeed, it's only going to get colder. The temperature at 5 p.m. had already dropped to 39, and it's only getting lower right now.
So we have a cold finish coming up here at Rutgers, and Michigan comes out in the shotgun again. 4 wide receivers off to the left, or rather off to the right side of Patterson. Same formation that came out in with a little bit of a different wrinkle. Peoples-Jones comes in motion right to left. 1 wide receiver off to the left to join him out is Peoples-Jones. Patterson takes the snap, looking left, finds Peoples-Jones on a slant over the middle at the 15. He's got space. He's out across the 25-yard line, still fighting for more, out to the 34-yard line is where they're going to mark forward progress at the 35. Big pickup there.
And with that, the Wolverines improved to 8 of 11 on 3rd down. And if anything, their 3rd down efficiency is better when it's more than 3rd and 2. They've had a couple series where they disappointingly cannot pick up a 3rd and short. But when they go to the air on 3rd down, it's money every single time.
And Peoples-Jones was fighting for about 10 yards with 4 Rutgers defenders. I think every member of the secondary was out there trying to force him backwards. Finally just forced forward progress to stop. And now Patterson comes out in the shotgun. Ben Mason off to his right, motions a wide receiver. It's to Collins in tight to the formation where he's already got 2 tight ends. Handing off going left now is Mason, or rather flipping back to Ronnie Bell with the end around going right to left, and coming up to make the tackle is Isaiah Wharton, or rather Saquon Hampton coming up from his safety spot to make a tackle on a play in which it looked like Ronnie Bell might be able to get the edge, but instead stopped for a loss of about a half yard.
And it looked like Michael Laney had done a good job of setting up the edge on the left side of Ronnie Bell. Had he beat Saquon Hamilton there, he would have been able to get gone for a big gain.
Now Patterson comes out in the shotgun here at 2nd and about 10.5, 2 wide receivers to the right and a tight end, 1 wide receiver to the left. We have True Wilson in the backfield to his right. Patterson, bit of a half fake in the handoff, throwing right now, looking back shoulder for Tariq Black, or rather Nico Collins. I saw Tariq Black earlier. Incomplete on that one. It'll be now 3rd and 10.
A little bit of tugging on that one, but in a closer game, you can maybe see that one be called. Don't think Michigan's going to get too many calls at this point.
Another 3rd and long here for the Wolverines. They converted the last few that they've had against the Rutgers defense. Had more success passing than running the ball in this one, which wasn't necessarily expected. The Rutgers straight coming into the game live in their secondary. Michigan comes out, 2 wide receivers to the right now with Perry motioning over there. A wide receiver tight end to the left. Patterson going over the middle now and threw it behind Grant Perry. Coverage on the play there by the linebacker Tyreek Maddox-Williams. They know to force 4th down and a punt.
And this is the first time the Wolverines drive will stop before getting into Rutgers territory. The 1 punt came late into the second quarter, where the Wolverines were really just looking to wind out the clock and not give Rutgers any hopes of scoring by pinning them deep. This one, though, Michigan stalls before the 35.
Will Hart punting now, boots it, almost got it blocked for a second there. It'll be fielded back at the Rutgers 12, shaking out of a tackle there, but eventually being brought down all the way back at his own 16-yard line.
Flag.
Is Avery Young.
There is a flag down on the field right around the line of scrimmage. We'll have to see what that one is about. As you mentioned, Rutgers nearly got a piece of that one. Will Hart got a good-looking punt off.
We'll see what the call is. I'm guessing a holding on one way or the other. It is a holding on Rutgers. So ball currently spotted at the 17-yard line. It'll drop back to about the 9 of Rutgers.
And that's just one thing Rutgers can't do if they want to get back in this game. They had themselves in good position. Should not have returned that punt. That was looking like one that was an obvious fair catch situation. Avery Young decides to return it anyway. Only gets pushed backward from there. Then holding on the ensuing return results in Rutgers now being set up to possess the ball inside their own 10-yard line. Never the way you want to start a drive, especially while down 21 with only 5 to go in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, Avery Young did shake the first tackle from the Wolverine gunner, but then was brought down almost immediately by 4 Wolverines who were streaking down the right side. Michigan's punt coverage has been good this year, haven't given up many returns at all, and showed exactly why they're very good at getting down the field. And that goes for kickoff returns too, aside from Really the big return here early on, or rather last drive that was called back for a holding, and maybe a couple back near the beginning of the season before Michigan had all the wrinkles ironed out. Very good on special teams, aside from the kicking game at times this year, have been the Wolverines, and that's always a plus when you're a team with college football playoff aspirations, to have that third phase of the game shored up and not have it be a sore spot. It doesn't necessarily have to be your best spot, but as long as it's not a negative, that goes a long way in having a successful season.
The old adage goes, defense wins championships, but special teams wins games. You certainly don't want special teams to lose your team games, which has been the downfall of many teams. Michigan fans know that oh too well, most notably going back to 2015 in the Michigan State game, a tragic punting ending for the Wolverines. Not certainly the least important of the three phases of the game, but one you cannot ignore. It can come back to haunt you. And today's a day where the Wolverines really need to just remind themselves they have to be solid on all marks before they get going into an incredibly huge showdown with Ohio State in Columbus in 2 weeks' time.
So looks like the ball will be spotted right about just inside the Rutgers 10-yard line. That is where the Scarlett Knights will take over here against this Wolverines defense. The Knights 158 yards on the day. If I'm not mistaken, they've already eclipsed their yardage total 5 times over last time Michigan was here. They come out in the heavy set package, 1 running back behind Sitkowski, 1 wide receiver off to the left. The referee stopping the play for a second as the ball was moved up. They moved the ball up another yard. I don't know why the ball keeps moving up here. It should be farther back, if I'm not mistaken, if they're going half the distance to the goal.
Yeah, now that holding's only a 5-yard penalty. It's like they cut the penalty in half, not the yardage.
Sitkowski takes a snap and hands off to the running back in the backfield. I believe on that one it was Hilleman. It was indeed. He was swallowed up by Rashawn Gary, and that 1 yard the referees just gave Rutgers is going right back, because now it's 2nd and 11. Gary met him in the backfield.
Rashawn Gary was there right away. Hilleman had just nowhere to run. He's got to be a little bit upset with his offensive line after that one. At the same time, though, it's Rashawn Gary. That's what he does. You're going to have to expect a couple of those in every game you face the Wolverines.
Hilleman still in there in the shotgun with Sitkowski. 2 wide receivers right, 1 left, and a tight end. Going in motion now, right to left, is one of the Rutgers wide receivers. Sitkowski going for a screen to Hilleman on that one. Rutgers run a lot of screens on this play. In this game, I don't think any of them have worked yet, as he threw that one well over his receiver's head and out of bounds. Incomplete pass. It's 3rd and 11.
And I will argue that those screens have worked in a way just a bit, because they give a very quick release valve for Sitkowski, who was running for his life there, backpedaling into the end zone, trying to avoid getting sacked. No sacks yet in this game, and I think that's largely due to the fact that Rutgers has not really aimed to throw the ball deep. They've been looking for quick dump offs, and if it's not there, Sitkowski fires the ball into the ground immediately.
Blackshear now in the backfield with Sitkowski. Sitkowski motions a tight end, going off to the right side. There's 3 wide receivers over there already. Handing off now to Blackshear, going right, and has a lot of room going right side up the right seam. Finally tackled down out once he gets past the 25 by Devin Bush, out to the 28-yard line. Nice gain there for Blackshear, and a first down for Rutgers.
Calling a run on 3rd and 11 is always a bold move. Offensive coordinator John McNulty must have seen something that he liked, and it paid off. Crucial gain there for Rutgers, but they now have a man down. Look to be an offensive lineman. Looks like number 54 is down for the Rutgers Scarlett Knights.
We'll get the exact name for you in just a second, as you heard injury time out for the Knights. Kamal Seymour, I believe, is the number that Daniel Thompson has spotted out there. It is indeed Seymour. Getting some help from the training staff, but Rutgers all the way out to the 28-yard line when they resume. Nice gain there by Blackshear, and it's been the running game of Rutgers that's kept them in this game this long. 158 yards, add 17 to Blackshear's total. He's now 7 for 41 on the day, as Seymour is helped off the field. Looks to be walking under his own power after being helped up. Hopefully he'll be all right. And we're about ready to resume action.
You mentioned in 2016 that Rutgers was bottled to 39 yards total. They're up to 174 now, approaching that 5 times their yardage from 2 years ago, Mark. program's still only won one game so far this year, but they've been trending in the positive direction so far this season.
Rutgers was very slow to get out of the huddle, though, coming out of that injury timeout, and as a result, the play clock was down to 7 by the time they broke the huddle, and instead of attempting to even run a play, Sikowski walks over to the sideline, calls timeout. That'll be Rutgers' first timeout here of the second half with 3:50 remaining in the third quarter. Again, Michigan leads Rutgers by 21. The score 28-7. A much closer game than many anticipated coming into this one. A lot of people wanted a shutout in this one, but that was broken up early on by an 80-yard touchdown run. Isaiah Pacheco, the man that put Rutgers on the board for the first time in Piscataway against the Wolverines since 2014. Now coming out of the timeout here, Rutgers pitches to Blackshear running right to left. He won't get anything on that play as he's swallowed up by a team of Wolverines led by Devin Bush and Tyree Cannell. It'll be 1 yard is what they'll give Blackshear on that one.
And one thing to note, that 3rd and 11 pickup on the previous series, that was Rutgers' first converted 3rd or 4th down of the game. They were going into that one 0 for 6, so they improved to 1 and 7 on that. That's a big reason why they're down 21 points.
Pacheco in the backfield behind Sikowski now. He takes the pitch going right. He's looking to throw downfield, now throws back to Sikowski on the left side. He's got him at the 40-yard line, out across the 45 to the 48-yard line. Rather, it was Tommy Stevens, not Sikowski, that came into the ball game on that one in order to run that play at quarterback.
Rather, that was Giovanni Rossino, the Michigan product.
You're right. Giovanni Rossino, my apologies on that one. Tommy Stevens, of course, Penn State's backup from last week. Wear the same number, common backup number here. Now the Wildcat formation here, Blackshear and Pacheco. Dropping the handoff here is Blackshear. It's in the backfield, covered up now by the Wolverines. It's Devin Bush, and it'll be Lawrence Marshall that hops on the ball. Michigan ball at the 42-yard line. Pacheco and Blackshear couldn't handle the handoff for the Wildcat formation, and Michigan catches a break. They'll take over inside Rutgers territory. And
right when it looked like Rutgers had figured out how to get this offense rolling by employing kind of new quarterback tricks, Sikowski not on the field for either of the last 2 plays as they bring in perhaps the more athletic senior Giovanni Rossino. He ends up catching a ball that will double Rutgers' total receiving yards in this game. Next play, they go in the Wildcat, but one of the downsides of the Wildcat is, well, simply the quarterback is not out there. The quarterback is much more skilled at handoffs. That chemistry is there between quarterbacks and running backs. Was absent on that one. Results in an easy turnover for the Wolverines.
Now it'll be Shea Patterson under center, True Wilson behind him. 2 tight ends to the left and a wide out, 1 wide out off to the right. Ronnie Bell going in motion, left to right, handing off True Wilson, going left side. He's got room outside across the 35-yard line. Outside across the 30-yard line now to the 29 is True Wilson. He picks up about 13 for a first down.
And True Wilson continues to be the Wolverines' most effective rusher in this game. He's now up to 7.8 yards per carry in a game where both Karan Hicken and Chris Evans have been held to under 3 a carry. They're both stuck at 2.8 a carry right now.
Michigan moving the ball here on 2 out of their 3 drives so far in this quarter, counting this one. They come out in the shotgun. Patterson's got True Wilson again to his left. Motions Eubanks left to right. Now gives to True Wilson going to the right. Wilson shakes the tackler, gets out across the 25, down all the way to the 21-yard line. Another nice gain for Wilson. That'll go for 8, right about at his average. Like you said, he's averaging about 7.8 on the day. So a 2nd and 2, but we have an injured Rutgers Scarlett Knight on the play.
Indeed, very impressive how Wilson, in a game where the Rutgers Scarlett Knights have done a fantastic job containing the Michigan rush, is averaging closer and closer now to 8 yards a carry. That is fantastic, even if only on 6 carries. Still have a Scarlett Knight down, taking a knee right now. His helmet is still on, talking to trainers.
Yeah, it looked like he went down after the play, perhaps maybe a cramp on that one. It was right after True Wilson went down, trailing the play. We do not have a number for you. Don't quite have the angle to get that number. Let you know as soon as we know. As he pops back up to his feet and makes his way off the field. It looks like Trevor Morris, the linebacker, senior linebacker out of King of Perugia, Pennsylvania. Or the King of Prussia.
King of Prussia, yeah. Interesting town name. We drove through Pennsylvania on the way over here. Did not go through King of Prussia,
We did
Pennsylvania.
not. We
But
did see a couple of interesting Pennsylvania town names. One of the more interesting states in terms of town names, if we're being honest.
certainly, and a few interesting town names on the way into New Jersey as well. It's been a nice trip through Big Ten country to come out here to the furthest eastmost extent of the Big Ten.
Michigan made the trip, obviously, as well. They come out 3 tight ends to the left, now motioning one over to the right. In the backfield is Patterson in the shotgun, hands off to True Wilson going right. Wilson again out across the 20, shakes and shimmies all the way down across the 15 to the 14. It'll be a first down for Michigan, finally brought down on the play by Isaiah Wharton.
And they're going to place that ball right on the 13-yard line. So that's exactly 8 yards a clip right now for True Wilson. It's just automatic for him. Don't know really why he's having so much success running. He's a bit of a hybrid between Chris Evans and Karan Higdon, who Higdon more power, Evans more speed. And right now that combo is working well for Wilson.
Michigan comes out again, same formation, same exact thing happens. They bring McEwen off to the right side and handing off to the right again to True Wilson. This time he shakes and bakes his way, but only 2 yards on the play. Maybe about 2.5 they give him. They give him a full 3 actually. They mark him at the 10-yard line. So 3 yards on that one. It kind of ruins his 8 yards per carry number, but perhaps getting a little gassed after leading Michigan in rushing thanks to a couple big rushes on the drive. It'll be second and about 7 for the Wolverines at the 10.
And interestingly, Chris Evans comes in here now. So it looks like Karan Higdon's day might be done at 42 yards. He's been having a great streak, 8 consecutive games of 100 yards. It looks like that'll come to an end tonight in Piscataway.
Patterson in the shotgun, Higdon, or rather Evans off to his right, 1 tight end, 1 wide receiver each side. Patterson looks left, he's throwing a fade to Nico Collins. Touchdown! Touchdown, Michigan. Avery Young couldn't handle Nico Collins. That's Collins' second touchdown of the day. This one a little bit more of a hassle for Collins as opposed to one he was wide open on. But regardless, that'll extend the Wolverine lead out to 34-7 as time is almost expired here in the third quarter. 8 seconds left on the clock.
I hesitate to say that you or I could have caught Nico Collins' first touchdown pass only because it's so cold. And any catch is impressive in this temperature. But Nico Collins working a bit harder on that one. He has 4 inches in height, though, over Avery Young. That helps him on the fade. Isolation versus Avery Young, and Michigan has tested Avery Young quite a bit today, and it's largely led to positive results.
The freshman out of Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Couldn't handle Collins. Collins' second touchdown today, Patterson's third. As Quinn Nordine's on for the extra point, it is true. And the score, 35 in favor of the Wolverines, 7 on the Rutgers Scarlett Knights side of the scoreboard. As I mentioned, 8 seconds left here in the third quarter, so maybe a play or 2 left in the third quarter before the team swap sides to try to conclude things. And another impressive drive for the Wolverines, officially 5 plays, 42 yards only. They started in plus territory after the Rutgers fumble. Did that in just 2.5 minutes, 2:33 if you want to be exact.
And that leaves just 8 seconds to go in the third quarter. Wolverines looking good since a struggling first quarter. Winning, presumably, if no scores occur in the last 8 seconds of this one. The last 2 quarters, 14-0 apiece. With that touchdown, they tie their total from a year ago when they defeated Rutgers 35-14. Looking to build a bit more on that as this Wolverines team has taken a huge step forward from the year prior.
And the high expectations coming into this one might hamper the Wolverines. They were ranked number 4 in the college playoff rankings, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. And we'll talk more about it when we get towards the end of the third quarter here, so it looks like we're getting ready to kick off again. No holder required this time for Jake Moody as the wind has died down just a little bit here in the last couple of minutes. Hilliman and Pacheco deep for the Scarlet Knights. Both inside their own 20, but outside of their own 10. But Moody absolutely boots this one for Michigan with no wind. Pacheco has to go back to field at his own 2, moving sideways. He's going right. Finds a little bit of a crease out that way, but stood up at the 18-yard line. I'll fight forward for an extra yard and tackled down at the 19-yard line. As time expired, it took all 8 seconds left in the third quarter there for that run back. And that will be the end of the third quarter. The score after 3, Michigan 35, Rutgers 7. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football here in Piscataway, New Jersey at highpoint.com Stadium. Daniel Thompson and Austin Felke with you here for the second half. And Daniel frantically motioning to me. We have a score update from around the league. maybe one earlier, a couple of them earlier, about Big 12 games going on in the SEC games, but one of particular interest to the Michigan Wolverines is the Slippery Rock football. And I understand, Daniel, you have an update for us on Slippery Rock.
Slippery Rock is having a great year, as most Michigan fans will know. At every Michigan home game, of course, the Slippery Rock score is announced. It's a great tradition the Wolverines have had, and they've even invited Slippery Rock to come play a few games in the Big House. Great tradition, and in fact, many schools used to do that. Texas, for one, announced Slippery Rock scores during their games, but that tradition has died out everywhere beside the Big House. Slippery Rock kind of the second team for the Wolverines. They struggled today, though. They were 8-1 on the season going into this, but they had to play the 9-0 Westchester University Rams, and Slippery Rock suffers their biggest defeat of the year, losing 33-10 at home versus the Westchester University Rams. Slippery Rock is, of course, one of the best programs in Division II football, but they get manhandled today in their own Malik Thompson Stadium.
Unfortunate there for Slippery Rock. As Daniel mentioned, one of the Michigan Wolverines' favorites is here between the third and fourth quarters. They flare "Don't Stop Believin'" at Rutgers. Big flag flying across the field, waving "Believe." Unfortunately, not many Rutgers Scarlett Knights fans left in the stadium to sing along and believe in a comeback happening in this one. It would be a big one, down 28 points. Michigan's come out, really silenced this crowd, really drove the crowd out, or whoever was left, after an exciting first quarter that saw the end of it a 7-7 tie between the two teams, which no one saw coming into this one. Rutgers should look to be a little more respectable here. They'll come out starting this drive at their own 19-yard line. It'll be Sitkowski back in. He's in the backfield in the shotgun, one running back to the left, two wide receivers to each side. He throws over the middle now, making the grab at about the 22-yard line. Was one of the big tight ends. Cole Murphy, listed as a wide receiver, has the size of a tight end. He didn't get much at all on that one. He was brought down at officially the 23.
And Josh Ross delivered a great hit there, stopping the catcher in his path on what could have been a better gain. 2nd and 5 now, but Rutgers looking better in the passing game in the second half.
Two wide receivers to each side now for Sitkowski. He motions his running back off to his left, looking out for the swing pass there to Blackshear. Blackshear makes the grab at about the 24, tries to shake a tackle but cannot, as he's down at the 25-yard line. Another score update for you. Given the score here, we have the Big 12 action. Oklahoma State has taken a lead over Oklahoma, who's hot on Michigan's trails. 35-34 the score, and Bedlam hot on Michigan tails in the playoff rankings.
Any Wolverine fans concerned about style points right now, they can let go of those worries. If Oklahoma drops the second game, they're not in the contention anymore.
Rutgers bunch formation off to the right, one receiver to left, one running back in the backfield. They throw off to the left side. They find Blackshear, who tries to shake a tackle. He does shake Brandon Watson's tackle, gets out across the 30 for the first down, out across the 35, and is tackled at the 39-yard line by, it looks like, Josh Ross and David Long.
And that was a great road grab by Muhammad Jabi. Picked up both defensive backs in the area and allowed for his man Raheem Blackshear to get wide open. Blackshear, a running back, leads the team in receiving yards. Maybe not today, but on the season he does, and he's their #1 target. Great job from the receiver to get him wide open.
Again, Rutgers running quickly now. They hand off to Blackshear over the middle there. He doesn't get much, gets out across the 40, but only about 2 yards on the play. Was followed up by Aiden Hutchinson. So 2 yards on that play. We'll make it 2nd and 8 for the Knights. Still on their side of the field at the 41. This is the same spot on the field in which they fumbled last drive, looking to avoid that same fate in this drive. 12:43 and ticking here left in the ball game, rather in regulation. Don't want to assume anything. It is 35-7, but crazier things have happened in college football.
Murray State erased a 31-0 deficit earlier today.
Coming out in the shotgun now is Rutgers again. They throw off to the right side. Making the grab is Jerome Washington before being forced out by Brandon Watson.
The Miami transfer gets his first catch of the game. A New Jersey native bought into this program and ditched the Miami Hurricanes.
Well, that was Nakia Griffin-Stewart on the play there. running out a host of different tight ends and wide receivers now are the Scarlett Knights, trying to get anything started outside of their running back playmakers, Blackshear, Pacheco, and Hilleman. Sikowski now comes out on a 3rd and 5 from their own 44. 3 wide receivers left, 1 to the right. In the backfield with him is Blackshear, picking up the blitz. Blackshear does a nice job, and rather Sikowski tried to throw to the right side, was looking for Shameen Jones. Instead threw it right into Brandon Watson's chest. Brandon Watson wasn't looking for the ball on what was supposed to be a back shoulder throw. Bounced off his chest. It's incomplete. It'll bring up 4th and 5.
And oddly enough, that wasn't even the second easiest catch for Brandon Watson on the year. Has been gifted 2 pick sixes against Southern Methodist and Penn State. That one was also right to him, but he's had easier balls to catch this year, actually.
Korsak down to punt for Rutgers. He's standing at his own 30. Peoples-Jones receiving from Michigan back at his own about 24-yard line. This will be a short punt, though. Goes out of bounds. It couldn't have made it to the Michigan 40. Really shanked that one, and they mark it out just about at the 40, at the Michigan 39, actually. So Michigan, another plus field position chance here to punch in a score and give themselves just a little bit more breathing room. As you mentioned, style points perhaps to try to impress that college football playoff committee. A couple teams nipping at their tails. They are ranked number 4. If the season were to end right at this very moment, they would be in the playoff. But
and I will say Michigan, they've kind of cashed in all the style points they needed last week. One thing Rutgers can hang their heads high on is right now they're on pace to play Michigan closer than Penn State did. Penn State was limited to 186 total yards against Michigan last week. They lost that one 42-7. Michigan looks like they're about to make the score 42-7 on this drive. But in this one, Rutgers has already been able to rack up 213 total yards. So they have outgained Penn State, a team ranked 20 and is going to be ranking higher after an impressive win against Wisconsin. These Rutgers Knights are 1-8, but they've been playing a lot better as the years rolled on. Chris Ash had this team at 4-8 last year, and I think they had a rough start to the season. Otherwise, they could be looking a lot better. They did play perennial Power 5 basement dweller Kansas early in the year, lost 55-14 in Lawrence, but since then they've collected themselves. Only lost by 7 when Indiana came here, only lost by 14 at Wisconsin, who's a very talented team a week ago.
Also hung in there with Northwestern, only losing by 3 here at highpoint.com studio a couple weeks ago. So Rutgers has been able to hang with some of their Big Ten opponents this season. Hung with Michigan for much of the first quarter and a half in this ball game before the talent gap really started to show itself. Michigan started to accelerate away, just really got the offense going. So far, Michigan on the day, 389 yards in total offense, but not how you would normally expect the Wolverines pick it up. Just 129 of those yards are rushing. Shea Patterson's had himself a great day, completing 66% of his passes, 18-27 for 260 yards and 3 touchdowns, 2 of those to Nico Collins.
And you mentioned Northwestern. They're currently trailing 7-10 in Iowa City as they play the 21st ranked Hawkeyes. Northwestern's in the driver's seat. They've only lost 1 game in the Big Ten so far. If they drop this one, they'll still be in first place over the Hawkeyes, but then they'd have to win out in order to make the Big Ten championship game. They trail by 3, have the ball at the Iowa 39 line.
Michigan comes out now. Brandon Peters, the quarterback, he hands off to Evans, go up the middle, and Evans shoots through the gap. He's gone all the way to the end zone. Touchdown, Chris Evans, first play from scrimmage here on this drive, 61 yards.
And in a game that's kind of been rolling much slower than Michigan fans would have hoped, right there Michigan gives us a couple surprises. There was a lot of talk after Dylan McCaffrey broke his collarbone last week who the backup would be going into this Rutgers game. Peters is the first quarterback to enter the game besides Shea Patterson, and then kind of makes everyone forget about that storyline as Chris Evans is the first Michigan running back to really tear off a big gain. The current long for the Wolverines was 15. Chris Evans just erased that, made it 61, and now he has 75 yards in this game off 6 carries.
That Chris Evans took maybe 1 tackle, broke through an arm tackle about at the line of scrimmage, and then from there on was completely untouched. He flew through the line and was just gone. Rutgers linebackers and safeties had 0 chance of catching him. As mentioned, 61 yards on the touchdown. Puts Michigan up after the extra point from Quinn Nardine is good by a score of 42-7. 11:26 remaining here in the 4th quarter of action. So there's a little bit of style points for you. Chris Evans, always one to give a little bit of style. the quick, maybe a little bit more aesthetically pleasing of the running backs that Michigan has played over the past couple of years on their 1-2 duo of Higdon and Evans. Higdon more of a bruising runner who can really get some breakaway speed, but Evans the one with the flashy moves. And as we show right there, the former track star in high school can sprint away from just about everybody else on the field when he needs to.
So 3 quarters and 3.5 minutes into this game, that run puts Michigan at exactly 450 total yards. 2 years ago, they reached 600 total yards. But Chris Evans finally gets that big run. He had a huge game a couple years ago here in Piscataway. Somehow ended up with 0 touchdowns, but ran for 153 yards. Gets on the board this time and is not even halfway to his rushing total from 2 years ago. That was really a bizarre game, and perhaps it was unfair to compare this Michigan team to that game 2 years ago. That's a kind of blowout that doesn't even happen when a great team plays a bad team. It requires so many things to all happen in the exact way. But Michigan right now up 42-7. That's 2 weeks in a row now they're leading a game 42-7, and they are in great position here to stay in the top 4 in the college football playoffs. Of course, many Michigan fans might be more interested in the Oklahoma State-Oklahoma game right now. That one having major college football playoff implications.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Oklahoma State has that lead, 35-34. It already has the ball back in that one. We'll keep you updated on that score for as long as we keep going here in Piscataway. As you mentioned, 42-7 the score now. Michigan over Rutgers. We'll see if they can keep adding to that lead. We'll have to get the ball back to the Scarlett Knights with a chance to chip in and look a little bit more respectable. We talked about a couple of years ago, and that's always what this game has been compared to the last time Michigan was here in New Jersey. And it is unfair to compare it to that 2 years ago. Like you said, it takes extraordinary circumstances to both teams, and this Rutgers Scarlett Knights team definitely improved, specifically at defense. The offense maybe not quite there, as we've seen today. Only a couple players really are capable of making big plays. And after that, they don't have a whole lot. But the defense is legitimate. It would have been hard for Michigan to put up 78 points again, even if they were operating at tip-top shape on the ground and in the air. Jake Moody on to kick this one away now for the Wolverines. He does boot it deep. This one will get back near the end zone, fielded by Pacheco right on the goal line. He starts out running left, now shakes back towards the middle, tries to break a tackle, breaks a couple of them, gets out across the 20 to the 24-yard line.
And you're right that it's kind of ridiculous to compare teams to games they played 2 years ago against the same opponent. It's a bit ridiculous to expect Michigan to win this game 78-0, especially when they're winning by 35, to have any complaints. But one comparison the Wolverines might be looking at is that when the Scarlet Knights traveled to Columbus earlier this year, they lost by 49. 52-3 was that score. Michigan is 2 touchdowns away from getting a 49-point margin of victory. Maybe that's the mark for them to aim for at this point in this game.
Scarlet Knights come out here. Sikowski in the shotgun. He takes a snap, looking left for a receiver. Now finds one over the middle, but he is absolutely lit up by Josh Ross. No flag on the play. A couple of words being exchanged now. He was looking for Warman on that one.
And as Brandon Peters came into the game at quarterback just to hand the ball off once, one thing of note is that there are still a few Michigan starters out here on defense. It looks like David Long is out there on the far right side of the field.
We haven't seen Levert Hill in a bit in this one.
But Kalik Hudson and Chase Winovich are both still out there for the Wolverines.
Rutgers comes out now, hands going over the middle now to Hilleman, and faking the pass was Sikowski, but Hilleman is swallowed up at the line, led by Carlo Kemp and the aforementioned Chase Winovich. He gets 0 yards exactly on the play, and it'll be 3rd and 10.
That'll set up another 3rd and long for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, who have gotten better at them as the game has gone on. They were 0 for 6 from their first 6. They're now up to 2 for 9. So that's improvement. That's what this year's been about for the Scarlet Knights, and they've gotten better in that regard as this game has progressed.
Coming out in the shotgun yet again here is Rutgers. 1 running back to each side of Sikowski, 1 wide receiver out there. He flips to the right now. That's Blackshear, but Blackshear tries to string it out to the right side, cannot. Kalik Hudson chased him down. Helping out was Tyree Cannell and Brandon Watson, I believe, on the play. And so with a gain of 1, it will bring up 4th and 9. Rutgers will be forced to punt again with 10, 15, and ticking remaining here in the 4th quarter. It'll be Adam Korzak coming in to punt again in this one. Peoples-Jones standing back at his own 41-yard line for Michigan. Rutgers has some pre-snap motion. Ball is snapped. Korsak boots it away quickly with Hudson coming quickly off the edge. He goes to the right side. It's going to bounce at about the 44 and then go out of bounds at about the 42-yard line. We'll see exactly where they mark it. They mark it at about the 42.5, maybe 43-yard line.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe Peoples-Jones has been able to return a single punt so far in this one. Normally they don't even get to him. Maybe he needs to stand a bit closer, but at the same time, if the punt is only going to go about 30 yards, then there's no point returning it. The defense will get to you and be ready to tackle you the second you catch it. It's really hard to punt in these conditions. It's not really much of a secret anymore. It's well known that cold footballs, they can feel particularly heavy. They just don't travel as far. Cold New Jersey night here on November 10th. It's getting into the real winter time of the year. And that is going to be the reality for the Wolverines. Next week when the Michigan Wolverines host the Indiana Hoosiers, we might be back in the box and cozy, but the Wolverines will still be out there in a harsh Michigan winter. And they'll have to go into Columbus, and presumably it will be a cold day as well, and get a huge win.
They're going to have to deal with these conditions over the last month of the season. Going back to the big house, though, does feel a little bit more cozy. Maybe it's just us because we do get our nice cozy spots back inside the booth, but it's almost more of a cozy atmosphere, being at home, knowing your environment, your surroundings. Everything just makes it feel a little bit easier to take the cold. A couple of years ago when Indiana came to the big house, or rather coincidentally, the week before the game at Columbus, it snowed that day, and it almost didn't feel too bad. The Wolverines were enjoying it, doing snow angels after the game, throwing snowballs for the cheerleaders. It almost feels a little bit more inviting, a little bit easier to take, as opposed to a game like today where instead of a packed 110,000 people in the big house, you've got a stadium right now that, while it is full of just about all Michigan fans, it is very empty. The cold just kind of lingers and bounces off of those cold stands, those cold empty stands, and right back onto the field.
We're closest to the student section right now, and there are not even 30 people there, and half of them are wearing maize and blue. It's been that kind of night for the Scarlett Knights, but this place was rocking at the end of the first quarter.
And it looks like Michigan's going to have Joe Milton coming into the game. The backups are officially in for the Wolverines after Brandon Peters got one play, and it was a handoff. Milton comes into the game in the shotgun with True Wilson off to his left, two wide receivers to the right, a tight end to each side. Milton runs the read option there, fakes the handoff, runs out towards the left, doesn't get much at all before he's forced out of bounds.
And that
gain of maybe one on the play if we're generous.
That's an interesting development. The new rule in college football this year is that any player who plays at least 4 games can have that not accrue toward their 4 years of eligibility, still claim a redshirt year. L.J. Scott, most notably of the Michigan State Spartans, is going to redshirt during what would be his senior year, as D'Antonio just announced after his game with Ohio State today.
Tariq Black also getting some action, trying to work himself back into game shape. He's off to Milton's left with 2 running backs in the backfield, a wide receiver out to the right as well. Handing off now to Berkeley Edwards going right. Again, the backup's in for Michigan. He doesn't get much at all as he's tackled behind the line of scrimmage for a loss of about a half yard. Will be third and 10.5, 11 yards.
The graduate senior gets his second carry on the season, looking for his first yard still. Tariq Black also looking for his first reception on the year. Got hurt shortly before week 1. Worked his way back into the lineup. Had what would have been a touchdown, but was called back because of a holding call last week. We'll see if he can do any damage in this one.
Jared Wangler is the fullback in the backfield to Milton's left. 3 wide receivers off to left, 1 tight end to the right. Milton fakes the handoff now. He has no time whatsoever, though, as he breaks the tackle in the backfield, though. Trying to run, trying to scramble, bounce out towards the right side. Still has time to throw. He's still in the backfield, but then is finally swallowed up back at about the 34-yard line. It was a sack for the Rutgers Scarlett Knights. I believe that was Muhammad Wainwright who finally was able to chase him down.
And Joe Milton is still yet to throw a pass so far this season. It's the second game he's appeared in, so you would imagine he is unlikely to appear in many more. He still has 2 more toward eligibility for next season. But he has yet to throw a pass. He came in for a few snaps against Wisconsin, always carried it. Was meant to throw it on that one, not a designed run. Still would refuse to throw it.
Coming out is Will Hart now. He hasn't come out and punted in a while. He will boot this one away from inside his own 30-yard line. Fair catch made back at the Rutgers 15 by Avery. That's where Rutgers will begin their next drive.
And in a game like this, you got to really analyze every single detail of the game. Will Hart has looked really good punting in these cold weather conditions that presumably the Wolverines will play in until bowl season. Adam Korsak has not looked nearly as good. He's had a lot of wobbly punts. Will Hart's been really nice looking end over end. Hard to blame Korsak. He comes from Australia, maybe not used to these harsh North American winters, especially here in Big Ten country.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Korsak's punted 6 times, averaging 34.7 yards a punt, but a lot of those really short ones that bounced a little bit and had a little bit of extra spin on it. Meanwhile, Will Hart, 3 punts, an average of almost 42 yards a punt, including that big 51-yarder that he just unleashed.
And one of those Korsak punts was blocked, but ended up rolling down the field for about 30 yards anyway. It was really something else. Worked out well for Korsak. And, you know, an Aussie in New Jersey on November evening, he's going to need some breaks. It's much colder than it gets in Sydney, for sure.
It has been a bit of a colder weekend here in New Jersey. You know, we drove up yesterday through, I believe Joey Parks and Nate Sorensen mentioned it, some rain, a little bit of snow early on also. Rumor has it that snow's headed this way in a matter of days and over the next week. Not just here, but also in the rest of the Midwest over Ohio and Michigan area. Weather starting to turn into winter officially. Feels a little bit like it here with 7:34 left in the ball game. Michigan leads Rutgers by a score of 42-7 at highpoint.com Stadium. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. Happy to make the trip out to Piscataway here. Again, even though it isn't the most comfortable of conditions, we're here sticking it out for you, along with a lot of maize and blue faithful that have congregated on this side of the stadium near the Michigan bench, really squeezing down near the field, all standing up, really getting into this one, trying to maybe talk to some of the players, just see the players up close, something you don't normally get to see when you're at the big house, 110,000 people. Some of these people coming over from New York where they live. A nice convenient trip for them.
Yeah, here on the side of the field, running along the sideline closest to us, it's basically all maize and blue. I would wager that there are more Rutgers fans in the band right now than anywhere else.
Rutgers comes out under center. Sikowski handing off in the backfield. Looks like Blackshear fighting forward across the 15 out to the 17, maybe 18. They'll probably give them the 18. They do. So 3 yards on the carry there.
Check on the carry.
And it was actually Pacheco, not Blackshear. 3 yards, bring up 2nd and 7.
Pacheco is also one of the leading receivers on the year for the Scarlett Knights. He's 3rd on the team in receiving yards. It's a team that really likes to utilize their running backs. Both he and Blackshear get a lot of carries.
Sikowski now in the backfield with Pacheco off to his right again. He hands off to Pacheco, who started going left, now bounces it back off to the right side. He'll get out across the 20 to the 21-yard line. Another 3-yard pickup, brings up 2nd and 4.
Woods with the stop.
3rd and 4 with only 6:48 to go in this one. Michigan bringing Joe Milton in on the last drive. You're beginning to wonder right now, it looks like Michigan's on a crash course for back-to-back 42-7 victories.
Barring another, say, Chris Evans, I'm sure he's out of the game. Barring another long run or something, it looks like perhaps both teams contend to just run this one and run the clock out. As Sikowski comes out under center, Pacheco in the backfield. He pitches off going right, whether that's Blackshear this time came in, sub for Pacheco, or rather Blackshear. Spinning back towards the middle, shakes a couple tackles, but only gets out to about the 24.5. He's up just short of the first down. It'll be 4th and about a half a yard.
And he very nearly broke loose there. Pulled off a spin move to stay up, but just lost his balance right as he was about to cut. Could have maybe broken free for a big gain as he was reversing field right there. Ends up falling to the ground, and it looks like the Rutgers offense is going to stay on the field for a 4th and 1 situation.
They are going to go for it here on 4th down as Rutgers. They turn around, hand it off in the backfield. Bouncing right is Hilleman, but he is swallowed up and denied. Jordan Anthony was the main man there who made the tackle and forces a 1st down in favor of the Wolverines, depending on the spot.
Let's go with the
It looked like he met him in the backfield. They still haven't motioned anything. I thought it was the Wolverines' ball. It looked like he let him for a loss. No, they gave him the 1st down. Or did they? We still have no clear indication. Now we do. They just moved the change. First down.
And right now you're hearing more boos than anything else in the stadium because there are more Michigan fans at this point. I'm a bit lost on that call. It looked like he was hitting the backfield, much less gained the yard he needed.
They gave him the inch or so he needed. We got a timeout, though, coming for Rutgers. I don't know what Chris Ash wants here. He's very upset at his team, wanting him to hurry up maybe a little bit quicker. Chris Ash, offensive coordinator, John McNulty, both running onto the field. A bit of a wasted timeout there for Rutgers. Not that they are going to need it later on. That was their second and a half with 5:17 to go here in the fourth quarter. Michigan leading 42-7. This one, though, not nearly as close as what's going down in Bedlam. Daniel, you have an update for us on that one.
Yeah, Oklahoma just scored right at the end of the third quarter in a very high-scoring affair that was 34-28, or 35-34 rather, going into the halftime. Only 2 touchdowns to score in the third quarter. Oklahoma State was leading 35-34 last time we got to you. Oklahoma just scored to make it 41-35.
Rutgers now comes out and hands to Pacheco going left. He's out across the 25-yard line, out to about the 29-yard line on the carry. So even here with Rutgers in a hurry-up-ish mode, trying to get a score before the end of the game, they're still running the ball, running the clock. They'll come out quickly, though, with Sikowski under center, Pacheco behind him in the backfield. Sikowski again turns around, hands off, going left for Pacheco. He's out across the 30 to the 32 this time. And it'll bring up about 3rd and 3. Rutgers content, again, with just running the ball, letting this clock run out, taking their time. It's not exactly a hurry up. They get to the line and snap the ball quickly, but now they're going back into a huddle after making a couple of substitutions. Michigan corresponds with some substitutions of their own. Notable names that Michigan fans know on the field. Still from the beginning of the game, Brad Hawkins, Jordan Glasgow, Brandon Watson, as Rutgers turns around again, hands off to Pacheco, this time going off to the right side. He gets out across the 35. He'll pick up a first down. This one without much dispute.
And Rutgers is chasing down Michigan in the total rushing yards game. Michigan sits at 182. They might not be getting the ball back with the way Rutgers is converting the clock. Rutgers is up to 172 right now. They need 10 yards, and then they will have outrushed Michigan here at home.
Rutgers comes out 2 wide receivers to the right, 1 tight end motions into the backfield, and a handoff up the middle. Surprise. This one's Pacheco again. He spins away from a tackle. Is finally brought down after he gets out to about the 41-yard line by Devin Gill. 2nd and 4 upcoming for the Scarlett Knights. What looks like it's going to be their last drive of the game here, trailing 42-7 with 3:30, just under 3:30 now, left to go. 2 wide receivers left, 2 tight ends right. And again, Pacheco in the backfield. He gets the ball going up the middle. This time, can't shake the first tackle. He's brought down by, I believe it's Brad Hawkins coming out to make a play, or rather Brandon Watson coming up in order to make a tackle. He gets about a yard, maybe 2. It'll bring up 2nd and 3, maybe 3rd and 2 if you're being generous.
And if you folks listening at home can make it out, they are currently chanting "Go Blue" in the stadium.
And they play the music over the loudspeakers. Does Rutgers to try to drown out? Not something you normally do when your offense is on the field.
Indeed, a rare occurrence here at home.
Rutgers hands out to Pacheco again, this time going right. He fights his way forward across the 45 to the 48-yard line. Boy, Rutgers first down before being brought down on the play.
And that will make it fit.
Schravicki coming into the game making a play.
That'll make it official. Not only has Rutgers outrushed Michigan, they are very close to getting more rushing yards in this game than Penn State had in the whole game last week.
Rutgers again handing off, going up the middle as Pacheco. He is not getting tired at all this drive, racking off about 4 yards every time, and that time he gets exactly 4 yards to the Michigan 47. Bring up 2nd and 6.
So congrats to the Scarlett Knights, as they're at 189 right now, quickly approaching 200 total yards in this game. They have ran for more yards than Penn State did all of last week. The score is still 42-7 in both games. With under 2 minutes to go, it looks like the Scarlett Knights will have successfully played the Wolverines closer than the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Rutgers comes out in the shotgun, and they're actually going to pass this time. Sikowski looking down the right side. He's got a man. No, he doesn't. It is picked off by Embry Thomas at the 25-yard line. Coming into this one, Arthur Sikowski, we thought, had problems with interceptions this season. The Wolverines had yet to take advantage despite a couple plays that could have been made. But Embry Thomas fired up on the sideline, being congratulated by all of his teammates. When I say all of them, I mean probably about 80% of the team came over to the sideline to congratulate him for that one. I guess Rutgers probably should have kept running the ball if they were that entire drive if they wanted to end up with a score. 1:38 to go here, and that'll just about do it. We'll see how the Wolverines decide to run out the rest of this clock, leading 42-7. And we see our fourth quarterback of the game for the Wolverines, Michael Sessa, enters the ball game.
Nonetheless, the Rutgers Scarlett Knights will finish the game with 252 total yards. That is much better than 39 total yards, over 200 more yards than they had 2 years ago.
I formation, Sessa hands off to Berkeley Edwards. He's running left. He cuts out towards the left, tries to string outside, but is brought down after a minimal gain by Trevor Morris. But his pick up a yard, as you mentioned, looking for his first yards on the season was Berkeley Edwards. That'll be 3 for him in 2nd and 7.
The grad student gets the first positive rushing yards of his career. Younger brother, of course, of Braylon, who was on the Michigan Wolverines the last time they won the Big Ten back in 2004 and had a pretty successful career in the NFL, mostly with the Cleveland Browns.
We'll see if the secret to winning a Big Ten title is having an Edwards brother on the team, maybe. Maybe that's what we finally figured out. Maybe Jim Harbaugh was able to get that one going as Berkeley Edwards faked the handoff there, and now running forward is Joe Milton, who came into the game. He picks up about 3 more. It'll be 3rd and 4 with 51 seconds left to go. Not quite enough to let the clock run out, as the play clock's only hitting about 25, about 17-second difference right now.
Interesting use of Joe Milton this game. A lot of people were in favor of him not playing simply for the fact that that would assure he could end up playing on the team next year without being in sophomore status athletically. He was very hesitant to throw the ball earlier. It makes you think that he might not be quite comfortable throwing at the college level yet. He sure is comfortable running. He's had a couple impressive runs in the 2 games he's played.
Milton has Joe Hewlett with him, and he hands off to Hewlett. Hewlett starts going right, now cuts back left. He'll fight forward for about 5, maybe 6 yards. That's a first down for Michigan, but it doesn't matter as the clock will run out of this one. And Michigan will travel home from Piscataway here with a victory and move to 9-1 on the season, 7-0 in the Big Ten. Rutgers will drop to 1-9 and 0-7 in the Big Ten as the cannon goes off, signaling the end of the ball game. Final score: Michigan 42, Rutgers 7. And Daniel, it's possible to call it maybe an underwhelming 42-7 victory. A little bit less satisfying for Michigan fans than last week, but I think that has to do with the opponent and the atmosphere in general. And Michigan really packed this one up pretty early on.
Indeed, being the number 14 team in the country at home is never going to be anywhere close to the levels of disappointment, I guess, as going on the road and winning 42-7. It was a good game for the Wolverines. They maybe struggled a bit out of the gate, but they won by 35. That's never an easy thing to do. Only good football teams win by 35. And I can make a pitch maybe that shows the depth of the Big Ten, that even the best team when playing presumably the worst team in the Big Ten, certainly the standings would indicate that. They put on a show. In the SEC, meanwhile, you have Alabama beating Mississippi State 24-0. They beat LSU 29-0. Big Ten's a deep conference. It's one of the best conferences in football, and a 35-point win should never be taken for granted.
I said 35-point win. I guess we're going to give a player of the game. I'd probably say Shea Patterson. Do you have any qualms about that one?
This was honestly one of Shea's better games. I mean, he looked so comfortable in the pocket. Even when there was some pressure, he found the men deep downfield. He's not going to have time like that against some of the better teams in the Big Ten. He looked great, though, and I would agree, he probably is the player of the game for the Wolverines.
Yeah, with 260 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. We'll give it to Shea Patterson. Why not? The defense, once again, aside from all the rushing yards, a lot of those came in the last couple of drives or so when Rutgers was grinding the clock out. And the one big run earlier on. Another solid showing for the Wolverines. They'll get back in action next weekend against the Indiana Hoosiers back at the Big House. I believe game time still yet to be announced for that one. We'll find out soon. We'll have the coverage for you here on WCBN Sports. We want to thank you all for tuning into this one. That'll do it for us here from Piscataway and highpoint.com Stadium. Final score once again, Michigan 42, Rutgers 7. And we will leave you, as we always do here at WCBN Sports, with a good night and a Go Blue.